694.
All right, welcome back into First Edition. We've had a busy show this morning as we were discussing the fallout from the Fauci hearing yesterday, in which he pled the fifth more than 100 times, so that was a bit of a bummer. But the quest to get answers to questions doesn't end now. We're going to wait and see what the Senate ends up doing. Could they hold him in contempt?
That is the big question, and do they have the votes?
Yeah.
That would be the other part of it, so we'll wait to see how this all shakes out. Clearly, Dr. Fauci didn't have a good day yesterday, and there could be more coming. We'll see.
That's right.
Also, President Trump, he's going to be holding an event here today. It's the Freedom Haulers, so he's going to be offering some jobs, commercial driver's licenses now to veterans to try to get them behind the big wheel trucks. Try to help them out, give them a job.
Yeah.
This is in place of some of the people he's taken off of the road, which are the illegals with these commercial driver's licenses. 24,000 of them have been taken off the road.
Wow, folks who can't speak English and may not understand the road signs. American veterans, they would know how to drive and do it well and get all of your goods to and from safely and keep us safe on the road. So we'll be watching for that later this afternoon. All right, that's going to do it, though, for us this morning here on First Edition.
We appreciate you tuning in.
Alex McFarland Ministries, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday on theDove TV. Good morning. You're tuned to the Dove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Hey, good morning to you. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And we have the little Miss Dove sitting next to me this morning.
Not Peggy. She's
No, Miss.
Miss. Okay.
Well, let's see. You're a Mrs. now.
I'm Mrs., but I'm not Mrs. Dove. Peggy is.
Yeah, well, anyway. Hi.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
and we're almost into August. Isn't that crazy?
You know, what makes it really crazy is that I've been tracking the fires in Oregon, and we have 2 more bad months to go. We have August and September to go, and look where we are already. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But good morning to you. Happy Thursday, better known as Friday Eve. We have a lot going on in the news. Quite the day on Capitol Hill yesterday. We had some highlights. Wow, the fallout from that hearing. And I guess things got pretty hot last night in Iran. We'll have some details on that. So a lot going on.
Yes, and in regard to what we're celebrating today, we're going to start with food. Might as well get our priorities straight. It is National Chili Dog. While no one knows exactly who invented the chili dog, it became popular in the United States in the early 1900s and quickly became a staple at diners, drive-ins, ballparks, roadside stands. Anywhere you go to party, it's there. So what's your topping of choice for chili dogs? What do
Chili.
Well, do you like
A little
relish?
cheese.
Do you like cheese?
A little cheese on it, yeah.
Mustard, jalapenos?
Well, you know, yeah, I guess you could doctor it up any way you want. So sometimes I like a little onion on it. Excuse me. It depends on the setting, but you know they are good and they're hard to eat. So you end up eating them with a knife and a fork.
Unless you're home and you just
Unless you're home and you just got to let it
Dive
roll
in
over, and
it,
you have a
yeah.
dog by your side that can pick it up off the floor.
Exactly. It's also National Cheesecake Day.
Oh.
One of my favorite desserts. Cheesecake has been enjoyed for thousands of years, apparently. We don't have any proof on social media, but we'll believe this. With versions dating back to ancient Greece, where it was even served to athletes during the first Olympic Games.
Wow.
The modern cream cheesecake version became popular in America in the late 1800s and remains one of the country's favorite desserts. You like it plain, you like it topped, you like swirls of chocolate in it?
I like it all, but there's nothing like a good plain cheesecake, either with a little strawberry over the top or a little, you know, blueberry over the top.
Like sweet and tartness.
Yeah, I just like a good old plain cheesecake, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had and I don't know if there exists, like the original New York cheesecake
Yes.
in New York?
Ghirardelli, no, not Ghirardelli. What is it? Excuse me. I'll think of it. The big, oh gosh, I'm having a freeze. It's the place where you used to get those great big sandwiches in New York City.
Okay.
And they bring out a piece of cheesecake. I'm telling you, it would feed 5 people, but it was one piece. It was like that, this tall, New York cheesecake.
Sorry, I almost sneezed, and I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I'm live on air. I can sneeze. Okay, and thank you. Finally, it's Father-in-Law Day. So National Father-in-Law Day, celebrate the man who brought your wife into this world, a chance to recognize them. And while the holidays' origin aren't well documented, it's grown to be a fun reminder for us to say thank you and to maybe give a call to the man that brought your wife or your husband into this world. Okay. Tell me about your father-in-law.
Well, he was a pastor. His name was Arthur. He was very proper, I guess you could say, and yet he liked to fish. He liked to play golf. He actually was a good golfer. And but he was a pastor.
And that's the church you went to?
Yeah, Peggy is a PK, 6 kids in that family, and so he was a fun guy, you know. He was also stern, you know. He was stern, but and talking to him about Peggy was, you know, I kind of shook a little bit about that, but I got through that.
You did? I mean, you guys were so young.
Yeah.
I'd be shaking too.
Yeah, well,
that age.
Yeah, well.
When did he pass?
Oh gosh, when did he pass? Oh, God, I'd have to go look at the calendar.
But did
it's been quite a few years. Yeah.
Did he see the dove become?
Good question. He saw us when we first moved here. Back in the early 80s, he came and saw one of the first stations. He never saw any of this. Never. So he passed after we first were here. Peggy's probably yelling at the screen right now, but it wasn't. It's when we were still in small buildings in Ashland, you know. So, yeah.
Well, again, a reminder to.
And your father-in-law was a military guy?
Yeah, he was a colonel in the U.S. Army. Yeah. He was a civil engineer, built a military city in Saudi Arabia. Did a lot of work in Egypt. That's why Patrick lived overseas growing up. But he was a wonderful husband and father. He and his wife adopted their kids. So my husband and his sister were adopted. And he dedicated his life to serve in this country, worked in the Pentagon and some other places. So Colonel Maurice Leiser.
Oh, yeah. My dad was adopted.
Yep. Yeah. And did he have any other siblings?
Yes, he had a brother. In fact, my dad and his brother, they weren't biological brothers. They were just 2 guys in the same orphanage that got adopted by their parents on the same day.
Wow.
It was kind of one of those. Like we need a family, so they went and got 2.
Yeah. Not the same with Patrick. He was just a boy there. Had a different name. His name was Mark.
Oh, really?
And then they adopted him when he was about 2 months old, and
wow.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. All right, good stuff. Let's take a look at the weather and see if it's cheesecake weather.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny throughout the region, with Vancouver reaching 79. Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville settle into the low 80s this afternoon. Through the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny in Salem with a high of 82. Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene become sunny with afternoon highs in the low 80s, cooling into the low to mid 50s overnight. Central Oregon sees patchy smoke before mostly sunny skies in Prineville with a high of 89, while Bend and Sun River are mostly sunny in 86. Patchy smoke in Boise, then sunny and hot with a high of 100. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog gives way to mostly sunny skies in Coos Bay and Crescent City in the mid to upper 60s. Port Orford stays mostly sunny with a high of 67, while Brookings is partly sunny in 58. In southern Oregon, becoming sunny in 91 in Grants Pass and 93 for Medford. Ashland and Klamath Falls see mostly sunny skies with highs near 90, with overnight lows in the 50s. Across northern California, Wairika becomes sunny with a high of 95. Redding reaches 101 and Chico 99 under sunny and hot conditions winds, while Fort Bragg stays sunny with a high of 66. Around the Bay Area, clear sunny skies with highs of 91 in Santa Rosa, 87 in Napa, 73 in San Francisco, and 86 in San Jose with calm northwest winds. Sunny and hot for Central California with a high of 97 in Sacramento. Stockton and Modesto top out at 98, while Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield heat up to 102. That's a snapshot of Thursday's weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, there we go. There's a picture this morning. As you can tell, the days are getting a little shorter, and the sun's not quite up. We see a glow, but it's not all the way up. And that's not a static picture. That's a live shot this morning from the top of Roxanne. If you look out, you see just a little bit radio tower to the left there. Then you see a couple of trees, and the sun will come up between those two trees, and that's Mount McLaughlin way out there. Really, it's a pretty scene. If we had a camera on our building, which we're working on, if we did a 180-degree turn, you'd see the moon set, full moon out there.
It is beautiful today.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will be a beautiful day for all of you.
Yeah.
And if you get an opportunity to share your faith, do it. It can be a little intimidating at times, but Pastor Greg Laurie reminds us to step out in faith and share the good news.
He had someone write me on my Facebook page and say, I'm uncomfortable sharing my faith. I've seen other people kind of like bully people, and I don't want to be that guy. I think it's better to just be a good example. Well, listen, we should never bully anyone to believe in Jesus. But at the same time, there comes a point where being an example is not enough. Jesus did not say, go into all the world and be a good example, though we should be one. He said, go into all the world and preach the gospel. See, good news is, well, news. Would it seem weird if you turn on the news on TV and the anchorman just sat there? No, he's there to do a job. Give the news. We're called by Christ to articulate the message of the gospel, preceded by the good example of a life lived for his glory.
Well, you can start by being good to somebody and nice to somebody and let the door open.
Sometimes that's the best way to share your faith.
Be a friend before you are being
A preacher?
Well, yeah, or like you know it all and you're better,
I'll never be like that.
Yeah, never be like that. All right, good morning to you. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Last night, the president stood by his word, and apparently there is a strong response over Iran last night as a result of Iran shooting several missiles out towards Jordan. And the president said, well, we're going to respond, and they did. In the meantime, something else has popped up. Apparently, Iran is preparing to receive hundreds of Chinese-made shoulder-fire air defense missiles. Now, this is going to be a problem because Chinese President Xi Jinping is reported to come to the United States to meet with the president, and he has previously reported and assured the president that Beijing would not provide weapons to Iran, but apparently that is not the case. So what will this do when these two world leaders meet? And apparently intelligence now reports that China is supplying Iran with shoulder-type missiles. Now, you got to ask yourself, given the sophistication of this war, and by the way, last night's attacks were numerous places, drone places. The last place that the president is considering to bomb, and quite frankly, I don't know why it hasn't happened, is apparently the last remaining nuclear site that has potential. I thought that would have been taken care of. But apparently that's on the table as a result after President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met yesterday. And by the way, part of that meeting was, or the day before, was this intelligence about China supplying Iran with shoulder missiles. So anyway, we'll have more on that with CBN News coming up, but that is the case.
It would be interesting if not interesting, scary, if it's true, if these reports are true, even the modest investment like $60 to $70 million can really help rebuild their operations and complicate future talks. China has denied these reports. They said that they're ungrounded and we're not going to do this. Pakistan also said we're not going to allow these to transfer over our territory. So it's still unclear what's true, what's not, but
apparently this was part of the intelligence that was shared. I understand it was anywhere from 300 to 400 of these missiles to tune of anywhere from 60 to 70 million dollars. Okay, again, we're in this world. It's true, it's not true. We have to wait and see how it plans out. But yeah, well, the big story yesterday is this. I don't know if any of you watched any of this. I got caught up in it. I'm listening and watching this. There's so much here. But yesterday, Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, went before the committee yesterday in the Senate. And this was amazing. At the end of the day, he pleaded the Fifth 111 times. I had Bob Just on the show yesterday, and we were talking about, all right, he's been given this blanket pardon or immunity. Does that still pardon him from perjury? And I was going down the perjury road yesterday thinking, well, his diary says this and his public testimony says that, and they certainly don't agree. Can they get him for perjury? And then as I watched the hearing yesterday, I'm going, oh, my stars. This is an entirely twist of events because I didn't know. How would I know? I'm not an attorney. But apparently when you have a blanket pardon or immunity that supposedly Dr. Fauci has, you can't hide behind the Fifth. It's a privilege that you now have forfeited. And that's all he did yesterday, 111 times, was hide behind the Fifth, which now can be interpreted as obstruction. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
It is an interesting case because it's pretty unprecedented. The only other person who got that type of pardon is Hunter Biden. Yeah. And so it's never been tested in a legal system. Some scholars say that, well, on the state level, you can still be prosecuted. And so by pleading the Fifth, he protected himself from states going after him. So there could be an argument made that he's still going to be okay doing this, but Rand Paul and Josh Hawley and others, they were saying, well, no, you're pardoned from federal prosecution, so this doesn't apply to you.
Well, but he pleaded the Fifth when he doesn't have the luxury of using the Fifth under a blanket pardon.
Right. And that's what brought up yesterday.
That's the fine line, and therefore, can he be brought up on obstruction, or contempt, I should say. Contempt is the word they're using.
Looks like they're going to go for it.
It looks like they are. So in the middle of this hearing yesterday, unbelievable. I thought, well, if he's going to plead the Fifth on everything, are they going to end the hearing? No. They let everybody ask the questions and make their point, which at the end of the day, Dr. Fauci is probably the most hated guy on the planet right now for what people heard and saw. And so here is, in the middle of the hearing yesterday, his attorney, Dr. Fauci's attorney, was sitting next to him, which he wasn't allowed to do. He wasn't allowed to sit at the table, but he sat at the table anyway. And then he started speaking up. And the chairman, Senator Paul, said, no, you can't do this. And eventually he was ejected. So here it is.
You will respect these proceedings. You were told not to sit at the table. You insist on sitting at the table. And we told you you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly, you are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise, his lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right? But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
So the attorney was ejected. I'm trying to figure out what the applause was about, because the people immediately behind Dr. Fauci was his attorneys, and then the gallery behind that were people who obviously were there. One of them was Laura Ingraham was sitting back there. So apparently the crowd, the gallery crowd, so to speak, had had enough of this nonsense, and they were glad that he got ejected.
Well, some of those people in another question and answer session, I forgot the name of the senator that asked them to stand up, one of the rows behind him, the people who've lost their jobs.
Right, and people. And family
loved
members.
Ones. And so I know there were a lot of people in that room that are not fans of Anthony Fauci.
Well, I ended up watching most of this. It was...
What did you think overall? What did you walk away with?
Well, I'm afraid to say what I feel, only because I am so angry that our government didn't protect us, and that's its job. And the other thing is that this man rode this wave into fame and made a lot of money, and a lot of people died. And he lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and the government didn't step in and protect us. You can't go back and bring these people back. You can't go back and save jobs that were lost. I'm wondering now if a overall class action lawsuit, again, a legal question, of people who lost their jobs and lost loved ones can sue the government because of this man who was an employee of the government lying to the American people. Can there be a joint class action lawsuit by which these people can go after the government for what has happened now that has been proven that not only did he lie, and not only did the COVID virus come from the lab that we were paying and supporting, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Can they now sue the government because their representative misled everybody, almost the whole world? Even the WHO got involved in this nonsense. So I don't know. I cannot believe, I guess I'm having a hard time believing this happened to us. I know people that lost their job. I lost 3 friends like that died. I did the funeral of one of them. And you kind of go, wow, 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 you know.
And I think some people were hoping that maybe, not that it's going to bring people back, but maybe he'll at least say, I'm sorry. And Rand Paul talked about it in his interviews following the hearing. He said, you know, because he was asked, what did you expect? Well, maybe he'll say something, but then Rand Paul said, you know, I realized, I think it was Rand Paul who said that he does not have remorse. He is philosophically convinced of what he did was right because he had said it in the past that the ends justify the mean. And if gain of function, which it's kind of all about here, if it gets out of hands and people die, well, the fact that we tested the science was a good thing, and it was worth it. So I don't know what's going on in Fauci's heart, if he feels sorry and bad that thousands, 100,000s of people died, but he sure didn't look like it. He was fearful at times, looked like. He was uncomfortable, he was stressed, but he didn't show much of remorse to me.
Do you remember when Mark Zuckerberg was before a Senate committee being drilled about the damage of Meta is having on young people? And one of the senators turned to him and said, would you be willing to stand up and turn around and face those parents behind you and say you're sorry? And he did. Well, to your point, it would have been great to see a Fauci moment like that, maybe even at the end. But he didn't.
Kind of, because it was a very confusing time. You know, granted, Anthony Fauci was in that world for years before COVID happened. He's been playing with gain-of-function research for 10 years plus, and knew that it wasn't, you know, knew that Obama put a stop to it, and yet he found loopholes to still work with the Chinese lab. So yes, I think people could have found soft spots in their heart to say, okay, if he got up and said, look, we didn't know what we were doing. We thought we were doing the right thing. Turned out it was wrong, and I'm sorry. But no, that didn't happen.
Well, I know you have the Josh Hawley.
Yes, well, Josh Hawley was also very stressed with this whole thing, and he kind of tested the Fifth Amendment pleas by asking him random questions. But I kind of agree with the conclusion he made towards the end, and so that's why I picked this soundbite. Here's Josh Hawley questioning Anthony Fauci.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time, I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
Well, it went on and on and on, him giving the list of how much money he made and then actually using federal employees to go out and write the reports to get him the awards. He was using federal employees to go out and to promote himself to get awards from various organizations for the way he was handling COVID. This thing is really, really disgusting, and I don't know what will come of it, but it appears now that Chairman Paul is going to call for a contempt vote. It looks like they obviously have the votes for contempt vote, only because it'll be down party line. The Democrats that were trying to defend Fauci, Dr. Fauci yesterday, you kind of go, do you have a brain and a heart and a conscience yourself?
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, the contempt charges will probably be voted upon from the committee. The question is, will those contempt charges go to Congress to be voted on, or because of the circumstances, under a blanket pardon, which he does not have the privilege of the Fifth Amendment, would allow it to immediately go to the Department of Justice to be adjudicated? That's the question that's on the table today. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, it was a very telling proceeding yesterday, and
it was bad.
I think it left a lot of us feeling kind of worse than we were before, in a way, just to realize the weight of what took place and be reminded of it again 5 years later.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Cheesecake, and what was the other one?
Chili dog.
Oh, chili dogs. Oh, chili dogs. How could I forget? All right, we'll be right back.
Your love, the only thing that matters is your love, your love. That's all I have to give. Your love is enough to light up the dark.
Visit fishlakeresorts.net today to learn more and plan your visit.
Thursday, faith and freedom under siege.
There's been an all-out attack to destroy America's Christian founding.
Our nation's history is being rewritten.
As Karl Marx said, people without a heritage are easily persuaded.
What really shaped America?
The city was transformed.
And what can rescue it?
Because then when people have changed hearts, they will begin to live out their faith.
Thursday on the 700 Club on the Dove TV.
All right, welcome back. 29 and a half past the hour. Just to let you know that the fire problems in the state of Oregon are continuing to be very, very serious. 1.5 million acres have burned so far in the state of Oregon, which is 4 times last year's total. There's a picture of the watch duty that shows you the fires in central and northeastern Oregon all the way up into Washington state. 12,000 people now are working to contain those fires. At least 30 large fires remain completely uncontained. And we have some statistics out there, but just to let you know that apparently there's some problems about how much the federal government's getting involved with some of the state government in fighting these fires. And our two senators, Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden, apparently have called out FEMA about being slow to the job, so I have no idea what all those political ramifications are. We're talking serious problems in Baker County, Hood River, Jefferson County, North Malheur, Union, Wallala, Wasco, just to name some that are really suffering with some smoke. Quite a few people have completely been moved out, totally evacuated. There has been some structure loss. I was reminded yesterday, yes, Medford is a tanker base, and so is Redmond and other places in Central Oregon. We still have some planes here on the field. In fact, the 2 DC-10s are still here this morning. They'll be flying from here over there, delivering their load, as long as the smokes and everything allows for the planes out of Redmond and other places over there. They have a lot of firefighting aircraft over there. So this is really something, and it's one of the worst years we've ever seen. And the hard part to manage all of this is the wind. So certainly be praying for these people and patience. And by the way, if you just look at our own backyard, we are really, really, really dry. So take that into consideration. Take a look at the satellite image, kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. We do have some air movement. Things will kind of cool down and then warm up again. The humidity is on the rise, which means there's moisture in the air. So if you get heat and moisture, you could get afternoon thunderstorms. So let's pray that we get the rain and not the lightning. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, be careful.
Well, politics can be divisive, and we see it in our everyday life where things are just along party lines for most things. 79% of Americans actually want their officials to find common ground with the opposite party, and that's according to Ronald Reagan's Presidential Foundation and Institute recent survey. Well, Fred Ryan, who is the Board of Trustees chair for the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute, opened the latest forum talking about civility in politics and said that, yeah, it's still possible. We can be civil and respectable.
But despite the current state of affairs, it always hasn't been this way. And that's one reason that we're optimistic that the next generation of leaders can help bring the country back together again. And this was an important part of Ronald Reagan's success as president. I want to ask you first, I want to mention someone, Tip O'Neill. How many of you raised your hand know who Tip O'Neill is? Okay, great. Well, Tip O'Neill, to give you a little background, was a Democrat, liberal leader, Speaker of the House from the East, and Ronald Reagan was conservative Republican governor from the West, and they didn't agree on much politically, but they found that they could form a personal relationship where they could get together after hours, they could get to understand each other, so when the time came, even though they disagreed on so much, they could find common ground and move the country forward. And in fact, they would, there's a famous story where they would get together in the evenings, and then the next day, Tip O'Neill would be up on Capitol Hill very viciously attacking all of Ronald Reagan's proposals, to the point where President Reagan called him and said, wait a minute, I thought we were friends. Last night, everything seemed like we were friends. And Tip O'Neill said, we are friends, but only after 5 o'clock. So what Ronald Reagan would do is set his watch ahead to 5 o'clock every time he saw Tip O'Neill and say, Tip, it's 5 o'clock, we're friends. A second lesson I would just point to with President Reagan is he would tell us, if you're trying to get something done, if you can get 80% of what you want, take it, and then come back and try to get the next 20% next time. That's a change from today where so much has become a zero-sum game, where it's not just enough for your side to win, but sometimes you want the other side to have a humiliating loss. The notion of civility in politics may sound foreign to those of you who've grown up in the age of toxic social media and viral politics that demonize and dehumanize our opponents. But on this very day, we have a poignant example that's a reminder that politics can be civil and respectful. Barely a mile away from here, a special tribute is being held in the rotunda of the United States Capitol in honor of Senator Lindsey Graham.
Okay, you can start by doing one thing, okay? Clean up your language. I watched that hearing yesterday, and there were words used that shouldn't be used. There are words being used on X by the president that should not be used. We can create a civil atmosphere to start a dialogue with those that we disagree with, but when we're using vulgarity to express ourselves, I think you are totally discredited. And I understand anger, I understand frustration. You can go home and cuss all day you want in your shower, but publicly, hold your tongue.
I think you should write a book on civility in politics, and that could be one of the chapters.
That's what okay.
Follow me for more advice.
I don't know. We're going to go look for a blankety-blank
cheesecake.
Cheesecake. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage, advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon.
We love staying connected with you, our amazing Dove partners. That's why we created the Studio Insider, your complimentary magazine packed with everything happening at the Dove. See how your support is changing lives, check out our TV and radio schedules, Meet our team in the staff spotlight, enjoy faith-filled reflections, a fun crossword puzzle, and so much more. It's your inside look at the Dove.
Hi, welcome back. I just wrote another chapter of my book, huh?
I know. We won't tell you what it's about.
Okay.
You have to buy the book.
Yeah, what's the book? More Than a Mic?
More Than a Microphone. I think that's what it's called.
Well, see, I had a book I was going to write after just before we came to Southern Oregon to take over the Dove, 1983, in August. So this August will start our 44th year. Okay. I helped our church get out of bankruptcy. I was the business manager, and it was in bankruptcy. We literally had a foreclosure notice taped to the front door of the church, and my job was to stop that from happening. Okay, because it went through a building program, got upside down.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, got it all done. Church is fine. And out of that, I was going to write a book, Fear, Fact, and Faith, and how a nonprofit organization, when it gets into trouble financially, all three of those things get mixed up. So that was always going to be the title of my book, Fear, Fact, and Faith.
Does that happen in politics too, though?
Kind of. So actually, that title could be a chapter.
I was going to say,
That could
it's
be
another chapter
It's another chapter,
for
yeah.
this book that we're writing today.
All right, let's check in with CBN News and see what their chapter of the day is.
U.S. Central Command says it intercepted multiple missiles launched by Iran in a surprise attack against U.S. forces in the Middle East. CENTCOM also announced that U.S. and Saudi Arabia carried out strikes on Iranian proxies in northern Iraq in response to drone attacks on Saudi oil facilities. The renewed military strikes come as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Trump in the Oval Office Tuesday. Netanyahu described the meeting as one of their best ever.
I just finished an excellent meeting with President Trump. When I say excellent, I don't mean it in a superficial way. A conversation with full partnership, with mutual respect, with an understanding of the common goal of ensuring that Iran does not have nuclear weapons and other goals as well.
Netanyahu's remarks also appear designed to silence weeks of speculation about tensions between the two leaders.
I think that it puts to bed these notions that there's major rifts between the president and the prime minister. There's a lot of common interests.
JNS Jerusalem Bureau Chief Alex Trayman says the meeting could help determine not only the next phase of the conflict with Iran, but also the future diplomatic landscape of the region. Beyond the White House meeting, Netanyahu also traveled to pay his respects at the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham, one of Israel's strongest allies in Congress and a longtime personal friend of the Prime Minister. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, CBN News senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright joins us now. So, Kelly, how is President Trump responding to the Iranian attacks on U.S. forces?
Well, Gordon, good morning to you. About a half hour ago, if not more than 45 minutes ago, the president responded by talking to Fox News about this. He spoke with Trey Yanks from Israel, and he basically told him that he was upset with Iran, and he used expletives to say that they were going to beat the expletive out of Iran, and then went on to say that Iran's recalcitrance and its behavior will not be tolerated, and he will move forward with beating and hitting them hard. So that is what we've heard, the latest in terms of the president responding to this Iranian surprise attack.
I'm frankly surprised they still have ballistic missiles that they can deploy. Are they hiding them in mountains, or you know, how do they still have this kind of weaponry to fire against U.S. troops?
And, you know, Gordon, I'm sure the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, as well as the intelligence community is trying to figure that out as well. Perhaps getting some more human intel would be important for them to find out how Iran is doing this and why they are still so adamant and determined to try to strike their own neighbors, by the way, which is building a nexus of supply and support and allyship with those Arab nations coming to the United States side, Saudi Arabia going so far as to say that they, in fact, are launching offensive strikes against Iran as well. So those ballistic missiles have got to be taken out. It's no telling where the Iranian regime is hiding those ballistic missiles, but the United States, you can be sure, will be looking for that and possibly conducting those strikes to make sure they take them out.
Well, let's talk about Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. Just last year, it was supposedly no daylight between Netanyahu and Trump. And then reports now the relationship's strained. The president made some critical remarks about the prime minister earlier this week. Where do things stand after yesterday's meeting?
Well, Chris Mitchell's report is correct. It's accurate. The president also talking this morning about his conversations with Bibi Netanyahu, stating that they get along, they really understand each other, and he went so far as to say is that Bibi gets the point now. And I think what the president is really stating, if you read between the lines, is that the president wants to be seen as the man who is in charge. He, after all, is the commander-in-chief of the greatest military on the planet, as he says, and he wants to make sure that the world does not get the picture wrong, that President Trump is at the helm and in charge and will advise and consult with Bibi Netanyahu. But these two are like two brothers who at times get into spats, and it becomes public, and they go behind closed doors, and they settle it. And as Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stated, it was very productive and very positive, and Bibi saying that himself.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on that. More coming up in just a few moments. Let's take a look at the weather because it's nice today.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny throughout the region, with Vancouver reaching 79. Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville settle into the low 80s this afternoon. Through the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny in Salem with a high of 82. Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene become sunny with afternoon highs in the low 80s, cooling into the low to mid 50s overnight. Central Oregon sees patchy smoke before mostly sunny skies in Prineville with a high of 89, while Bend and Sun River are mostly sunny in 86. Patchy smoke in Boise, then sunny and hot with a high of 100. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog gives way to mostly sunny skies in Coos Bay and Crescent City in the mid to upper 60s. Port Orford stays mostly sunny with a high of 67, while Brookings is partly sunny in 58. In southern Oregon, becoming sunny in 91 in Grants Pass and 93 for Medford. Ashland and Klamath Falls see mostly sunny skies with highs near 90, with overnight lows in the 50s. Across northern California, Wairika becomes sunny with a high of 95. Redding reaches 101 and Chico 99 under sunny and hot conditions, while Fort Bragg stays sunny with a high of 66. Around the Bay Area, clear sunny skies with highs of 91 in Santa Rosa, 87 in Napa, 73 in San Francisco, and 86 in San Jose with calm northwest winds. Sunny and hot for Central California with a high of 97 in Sacramento. Stockton and Modesto top out at 98, while Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield heat up to 102. That's a snapshot of Thursday's weather from Grange Co-op.
We like good records and we love aviation. Some of us do. And on this day in history, an aviation record happened. Here's Jerry.
On July 30th, 1983, aviation history was made in California when a highly modified North American P-51 Mustang, the Red Baron, set the official world speed record for a piston-driven aircraft at an astonishing 517 miles per hour. The amazing part? The P-51 was originally designed more than 40 years earlier during World War II. Powered by its legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin V12 engine, the Mustang was one of the finest fighter aircraft ever built, prized for its speed, range, and maneuverability. Engineers later refined the airframe and squeezed every ounce of performance from that classic design to achieve a record many thought impossible. More than 15,000 P-51s were built during the war, and remarkably, it's estimated that over 150 are still flying today, with several hundred more preserved in museums and private collections around the world. Not bad for an aircraft whose first flight was back in 1940, and a reminder that great engineering never goes out of style.
Great airplane. Tom Cruise owns one. He flies it. It's a tough airplane to fly on the ground. Once it's in the air, it's different. But getting it airborne is tricky because there's so much power in the engine. you deal with what they call the P factor. And the P factor is that the engine, if you don't keep the airplane on the ground long enough and you lift it off too soon, it'll actually roll the aircraft over. So you have to kick in right rudder, keep it on the ground until you can fly off the ground.
Have you ever?
I've never been in a P-51, but talked to a lot of pilots that have. They're beautiful. Gee whiz, they're just gorgeous. Yeah, cooked up. All right, 12 minutes before the hour. Charlie Kirk, we miss him dearly. I think one of his hallmarks is that he'd go to campuses and have dialogue with people that completely disagreed with everything that he said. And a lot of those subjects were varied, but one of them was abortion. And here's a little bit of a response of a student and him about the subject of abortion.
As you said correctly in the past, the vast majority of cases of abortion are not because of rape.
That's right.
That
it's
is a
become
minority.
a form of birth control, effectively.
Exactly. And so for the tiny minority that is because of rape, I think, can we agree that it's a woman being put into a scenario where she has to take care of another life?
Situation, I agree.
Against her will.
When in morality, is it right to do a wrong thing after a wrong thing? Let's pretend a woman is brutally raped, okay?
Yes.
And I have two ultrasound pictures.
Yeah.
One of a baby that was conceived consensually, and one of a baby that was conceived in rape. Which one is it?
You can't tell the difference.
Because they're both human beings.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And human dignity needs to be applied to all people, right? Including the being in the womb. And I'm not minimizing the pain or the suffering, but then adding another element on top of that. In morality, doing a wrong thing after a wrong thing or an evil thing after an evil thing because of convenience or utility, those are not the ethics that built the West.
No.
Okay, quite a guy, quite a debater. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll talk to another interesting debater person, kind of, sort of.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
That all around the evidence is speaking the truth from the center of my soul to the edge of the universe.
Being in business is challenging. At Network in Action Southern Oregon, we're all about real connection and real growth. We value your time with once-a-month meetings and believe in transformational relationships rather than transactional ones. We have 3 groups in the Valley, a Christian group, a Medford group, and a Grants Pass group, all filled with amazing local professionals. Network in Action Southern Oregon, so much more than just networking. Find out more at sonetworking.com.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. Oh, shine.
Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekalo on the Dove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute and then determining what crime they could charge them with.
You can't believe this is the country we're living in, that this is happening.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekalo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
This is just not the right precedent we want to be setting, even if we don't like Donald Trump.
This is just all-out chaos, and that's what could happen very soon.
Watch Sekalo for issues that matter to you, addressing the problems of Christian rights in the workplace, school, the marketplace, and protecting human life.
I hope this doesn't have to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Be in the know with Sekalo. Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday only on the Dove TV.
All right, welcome back. Paulina and Perry with you today. Let's see here. You know, it just dawned on me. I just realized something.
What is that?
You have P&P on your license plate.
PL. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's PL, yeah. Paulina Liza.
Oh, the other one has this Patrick? So you got Paulina and Patrick.
Mm-hmm. And you have Perry and Peggy.
Yeah,
it's just P's. And what was that P factor?
Don't lift off the ground too soon.
Yeah, see, you can write it. You can take something From your life.
Oh, there we go. I'm sure
a chapter.
I will.
The P factor.
The P factor. It's another chapter in my book.
Yes.
There you go. So yesterday I had Bob Just in the house. Always fun to have him around. We were talking about Dr. Fauci, and I guess we got off. Well, does the blanket pardon cover perjury? Now, this discussion is a little mute compared to what we learned since then. But here's a little bit of what we talked about yesterday.
Well, I know for sure that it doesn't hold for perjury after the pardon, which is why they're trying to get his comments on the record. They're trying to catch him at perjury after the pardon.
So they're going to be able to prove perjury with him still declaring the fifth, because all they have to do is ask the question, even though he's not going to answer it. But in the question will be his testimony of what he said versus what's in his diary. Isn't that?
You know, we're dealing with fine points of law. The fifth, when he takes the fifth, that is the two things they do is they take it in a situation like this, is they say, I don't know, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Or they take the fifth. And if they take the fifth, you're talking about fine points of law. And I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. You play one.
They are, yeah. I never have played one on TV, as a matter of fact. But no, seriously, the issue at hand is the outrageous way he handled the situation. All our kids have been vaccinated. Most of them have been vaccinated. Was never necessary. So many things happened. You know, millions of people died across the globe. The whole issue of creating a dangerous, virus in China when we had decided not to do that. And then the game playing that went on behind the scene, the accusations to people who were trying to blow the whistle against him. It was really horrible what he did. Monstrous is not too wild a word.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. All right.
All right. Well, Jerry always finds these stories. I don't know where he gets them, but I guess he has all this time in his hand now. Rescue stories, fun stories, good-hearted stories. And here's one of a postal clerk that delivered an amazing rescue just in the nick of time.
An ordinary trip to the post office in Clifton, Arizona turned into a life-or-death emergency when 8-month-old Nova Vega suddenly stopped breathing in her mother's arms. Thankfully, postal clerk Mary Schwartz, a former nurse with 13 years of experience, didn't hesitate. She rushed from behind the counter, found no pulse, and immediately began CPR and back thrusts after learning the baby may have choked. A nearby police lieutenant joined the rescue, and together they raced Nova to a local clinic. Halfway there, the little girl began breathing again. Nova was later transferred to a hospital in Tucson where she underwent surgery for a congenital heart defect. Her grateful mother says she'll never forget the strangers who stepped in to save her daughter's life. And Mary Schwartz hopes the story inspires more people to learn CPR, because you never know when the knowledge to save a life might be needed.
Wow. Wow.
Someone like that is there when you need them.
Author Robert Morgan's going to be with me today. I didn't realize how many books he has written. I just finished one, started the second one. Peggy has a bunch of them she's been reading, so we're going to talk to him about that. The big one is The Lord is My Shepherd. It deals with the 23rd Psalm, so we'll have that coming up. Gene Getz will be with us. Always fun to have him around. Great scripture for you today, 1 Corinthians 6, verse 20. For you were bought at a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Your body and your spirit belong to Him. There's the sunrise.
Real Life with Jack Hibbs, now on the Dove TV every weekend. Deepen your walk with Christ and make an effective impact on your world. Don't miss Real Life with Jack Hibbs, Sundays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on the Dove TV.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Pastor Jack Hibbs, championing religious liberty, a deep love of God, freedom, and America.
That liberty is God-given, not government-granted.
You may have seen him in the news during COVID as he pushed back against government-mandated church closures. Now you can see him on theDove TV every weekend on Real Life with Jack Hibbs.
You and I cannot afford to be casual about what God has actually said in His Word regarding the future.
Learn, grow in your faith, and impact the world with authentic biblical teaching.
The Bible warns us to avoid private interpretations.
Jack challenges today's generation to understand and practice a biblical worldview, verse by verse, addressing key cultural and daily life issues. Deepen your walk with Christ to make an effective impact on your world. Don't miss Real Life with Jack Hibbs, Sundays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on theDove TV.
Orthodox Christianity has existed for 2,000 years. Yet many people know very little about its history, its worship, or the ancient Christian faith it preserves. Hi, I'm Paulina Leiser. Join me each week as we explore the beauty and depth of this historic Christian tradition and its place in the modern world.
Don't miss The Ancient Church, conversations about Orthodox Christianity, Sundays at 6 p.m. on theDove TV. You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for Monterey and the Central California coast. Seen on Channel 14 and these Dove TV affiliates. Good morning. You're tuned to theDove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you and happy Thursday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Look who we have here today. Ah, yes. Mrs. Leiser is with me today, better known as Paulina.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy coming here, even though it's dark now. For the last couple of months, it was light when I was coming here. Now the sun doesn't rise until a little later.
All right, here's a question for you. Do you want daylight savings time permanently, or do you want to keep switching back and forth?
I really don't care.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I don't. I see the argument on both sides. I don't know who's going to win this. I know that there's a couple states that don't switch. Arizona doesn't switch. Some other states, but apparently there's great controversy over this. The president apparently is in favor of it, and it looks like it will work its way through the House. Now, I don't know if it goes anywhere beyond that, because some industries do not want this.
Yeah, and I understand those arguments too, but to me, gas is so expensive. To me, there are better things to worry about than that. You know, you can be litigating other things or arguing. Yeah. Hey, if you want to talk about daylight savings time, fine.
Well, why don't we just back up and say, all right, God, did you make a mistake? Because there's a reason we have 4 seasons. There's a reason we have the sun brighter sometimes and darker in some other times. Why don't we just go to the farmer's lifestyle? You get up with the sun and you go down with the sun.
Sure. Like I said, I'm finding the way. I'm easy this morning. It's cheesecake day.
Okay. So
one of my favorite desserts. So I'm in anticipation of my breakfast, lunch, and dinner for today.
Okay, so how much sleep do you get every night?
About 6 hours.
Okay, all right.
Well, when I'm here.
Yeah.
When I'm not, I get my 8 hours.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need my beauty sleep.
Okay, yes. Well, you really don't, but yes, you do. All right, so what do you got?
Well, before we get to cheesecake, today is National Intern Day, celebrated last Thursday of July. The day honors interns who contribute to businesses, nonprofits, ministries, schools, governments, and most organizations have those unpaid people running around getting experience. Have you ever been an intern?
No.
Okay.
We've had them here.
Yes.
And they became permanent. Then they got married and had a bunch of kids.
Yeah. And by then they weren't interns anymore, but it's a great way to get into an industry, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. I was an intern before I got into television. That's how I put my foot in the door while still in college. So National Interns Day, National Father-in-Law Day. So celebrate your spouse's dad today. Give them a call, or maybe just, if they're not around anymore, remember them with your loved ones. And finally, it is National Cheesecake Day. Cheesecake has been enjoyed for many, many years. Some say that Greeks had it for their Olympic Games. The modern cream cheese version became popular in America in the late 1800s, and it is still one of our country's favorite desserts. And you like it plain, right? With some berries on top.
I really do, but you know, gosh, cheesecake is kind of like potato chips. You just can't stop.
Unless it's really rich, but yeah, you're right. And I like, you know, it has that
size, like there, a little piece of cheesecake with some strawberries on top.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Before you have cheesecake, though, make sure you have some chili dogs today. It is National Chili Dog. No one knows exactly where those came from, but looks like 1900s, early 1900s is when they became popular in the United States, and then became obviously popular in the drive-ins, drive-throughs, ballparks, roadside stands, and so forth. Another one of those good summer foods to have. Load them up.
Good stuff. All right, good morning to you. 4 minutes past the hour. Let's check out the weather as you head out on your Thursday.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny throughout the region, with Vancouver reaching 79. Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville settle into the low 80s this afternoon. Through the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny in Salem with a high of 82. Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene become sunny with afternoon highs in the low 80s, cooling into the low to mid 50s overnight. Central Oregon sees patchy smoke before mostly sunny skies in Prineville with a high of 89, while Bend and Sun River are mostly sunny in 86. Patchy smoke in Boise, then sunny and hot with a high of 100. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog gives way to mostly sunny skies in Coos Bay and Crescent City in the mid to upper 60s. Port Orford stays mostly sunny with a high of 67, while Brookings is partly sunny in 58. In southern Oregon, becoming sunny in 91 in Grants Pass and 93 for Medford. Ashland and Klamath Falls see mostly sunny skies with highs near 90, with overnight lows in the 50s. Across northern California, Wairika becomes sunny with a high of 95. Redding reaches 101 and Chico 99 under sunny and hot conditions, while Fort Bragg stays sunny with a high of 66. Around the Bay Area, clear sunny skies with highs of 91 in Santa Rosa, 87 in Napa, 73 in San Francisco, and 86 in San Jose with calm northwest winds. Sunny and hot for Central California with a high of 97 in Sacramento. Stockton and Modesto top out at 98, while Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield heat up to 102. That's a snapshot of Thursday's weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, there's a picture of our backyard this morning. That's almost looking due west from the top of Roxy Ann. You can still see a little bit of the shadow of the mountain, but what we're looking at, very dry conditions. So be careful.
Well, depression is something we hear about a lot, and there's, of course, difference between clinical depression and feeling sad. But this morning, Pastor Greg Laurie offers a biblically inspired and time-honored way to rid yourself of depression.
Listen, if you find yourself down in the doldrums as a Christian, if you find yourself depressed, I have a 10-step solution to depression. So if you're taking notes, write this down. 10 steps to get rid of your depression. Are you ready? Step number 1, do something for someone who has greater needs than you. Do something for someone who has greater needs than you. Go to a convalescent home and visit someone who's staying there. Go to Skid Row on one of our missions and reach out to people that are literally living on the street. Go to someone with a need. Go to someone who has a greater need than you. That's step number 1. Okay, here's step number 2. Repeat step number 1 9 more times. Now listen, I'm not dismissing clinical depression. I know that can be very real, But I'm just talking about that general kind of depression we can find ourselves in that frankly is sometimes a result of just being selfish. And instead of being selfish, try being selfless. In other words, stop thinking so much about yourself. Proverbs 11:25 says, those that refresh others will be refreshed themselves.
I think he makes the key point there. The best road out of depression, in my opinion, is to go help somebody else. If you are down, go help somebody that's down, and you will get up, and so will they.
Mm-hmm.
Just go serve mashed potatoes down at the Gospel Mission. Go find somebody that you know is struggling and take them to lunch. Get out of your own depression by helping somebody getting out of theirs. Helping one another is the great healing balm. The problem I have with today's culture is we added over the top of depression, bad day, bad feeling, feeling down, and clinical depression. We put this term over the top that became the catch-all of everything. Is called mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become an excuse for people not to do anything. I say that respectfully. But if you're having a bad day, and I get them, I get out. What do? I get on the phone and I call somebody. Hey, can I pray for you today? What can I do? I send somebody a note. It is the key of breaking your own cycle. Go help somebody else.
Yeah, and read the Psalms. You and I were talking about it. I had a guest on the Ancient Church that I asked the question, how do you get out of depression, and what's your advice to those who are anxious or depressed? He said, pick up the book of Psalms. There's so many. You will relate, they'll resonate with you, and just read those Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd.
So I'm going to have Robert Morgan on the show this morning, who's one of the great authors. And so I brought in the books that are in our house.
You're so funny. I text you last night. I said, hey, bring the book that you're reading. And you bring half of your library.
Well, I just finished this book a couple of nights ago, and I started this one last night. This one talks about the very thing that we're talking about. It's called The Strength You Need, the 12 Great Strengths Passages of the Bible. And he takes 12 scriptures and writes a book on them that does nothing but help you rebuild your strength, especially if you're dealing with fatigue, you're down, you're worn out, maybe you're burned out. He's very prolific. But this book here is absolutely masterful. It's called The Lord is My Shepherd. It deals with the 23rd Psalm. And so I look forward to talking to him about this book. Peggy kept saying, you need to read this book. Well, so I picked it up about a week and a half ago, and I finished it last night because I'm a slow reader. But it's very powerful, you know.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me just read you one little thing here.
Sure.
Let's see if I can find it here real quick. Because I think what you need to know about this is the first line. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
Yeah.
And in America, we're constantly in the cycle of wanting more.
Right. Does he talk about gratitude?
Yeah. The whole book leaves you in a state of gratitude. The whole psalm leaves you in a state of, God is your shepherd. He's taking care of you. He sees for you. He fights off your enemies. He makes sure the wolves and the bears don't get you. He makes sure you're healthy, takes care of you. He makes sure that you find great pastures to go feed and get fat and lay down in, and go to a stream where the water is calm, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, he's going to be my guest on Focus Today coming.
I'll read it while we're doing the show.
We'll be right back after we...
Hold on.
Oh, no, we got more things to do.
We have headlines to do.
Oh, yeah, gosh, we're having so much fun here. Let's go to the main... Let's go to the news. Okay, here's what happened yesterday. First of all, the president did order a severe strike against Iran last night as a result of them firing some missiles over in Jordan, trying to hit some American troops. By the way, I was trying to figure out what was going on with that. Did you know that we're going in and taking the cell phones away from our troops? Because apparently when our troops are using cell phones in various areas,
they can be tracked.
They can be tracked, and that's where they know they are. So In the meantime, the president has retaliated, if I can use that term, but then they find out through intelligence that China apparently is going to supply Iran with shoulder missiles, if you can imagine that, 300 to 400 of them, man-made portable air defense systems. In other words, they can fire a missile from their shoulder at the tune of $60 to $70 million worth. And apparently the president's unhappy about this because Xi said he wasn't going to do it, but now they're going to meet. And so anyway, very controversial. We'll see what happens. There's rumors that this isn't happening. There's rumors that it is happening. We'll find out.
Yeah, those are, like I was reading about those shoulder missiles, whatever you call them. They were using infrared guidance to shoot down helicopters, low-flying aircraft, drones. And so kind of a totally different way of doing warfare.
Yeah. It's serious stuff. The big story yesterday, among many, was the hearing of Dr. Anthony Fauci before the Senate committee yesterday, and it was quite the show. 111 times Dr. Fauci pleaded the fifth, would not answer questions. Things got pretty heated during the discussion. I would say this, it was probably his worst day in his life because it just uncovered everything that happened over the whole COVID incident. And in the middle of it, one of his own attorneys was kind of speaking up, and the Chairman Paul, wasn't going to have anything to do with it. And he said, sit down, and eventually he got ejected, and here's what happened.
You will respect these proceedings. You were told not to sit at the table. You insist on sitting at the table, and we told you you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise. His lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right? Yeah. But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room. This is an amazing thing to watch happen. I think that what Chairman Paul was trying, he was trying everything to get this thing to calm down, and the guy just wasn't doing it. And to the point was, he was not recognized. He's there not to talk. He sat at the table he was told not to sit at, and he wouldn't shut up, and he kept going for it, and he got injected.
Right. Basically, Dr. Fauci wanted his lawyers make the point while he was pleading the fifth, protecting himself from incriminating himself. But he still wanted his arguments to be heard through the lawyers, and that's the game they were trying to play. But Senator Paul didn't have any of that. Senator Josh Hawley is the other one of the participants who made headlines with his questioning of just basic questions, asking Fauci, what color is your tie? What color is the carpet? To show that he wouldn't even answer questions that would not in any way incriminate him. And then he made a conclusion to what happened to Dr. Fauci and why we are where we are today. So here's a clip from Senator Josh Hawley questioning Dr. Fauci.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment. because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time, I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
I don't know how you recover from this. If you sit down and watch this whole thing, he is in a world of trouble, even though he's been given a blanket immunity. I really think now they have found a way forward, and his attorneys may have made a tactical error here by having him declare the fifth. He did it 111 times, even to the point couldn't talk about the color of his tie, the color of the carpet. So he illustrated the absurdity of what was going on. So now that it's been brought out, as Senator Hawley pointed out there, you can't hide behind the fifth if you've been given a blanket immunity, a blanket pardon. So you don't have that privilege to hide behind. So what he did yesterday by declaring the fifth 111 times, he's now going to be brought up for obstruction, contempt. And that's a different set of rules. That's a different set of circumstances. I suspect the committee will vote to charge him with contempt. Okay? Now, it could set up something we haven't seen before, the definition of that. You explained that. Then the other part is, does it go to the Senate for a full vote, or because of the circumstances where he actually obstructed and contempted under a blanket immunity, does that prevent it from going to the Senate for a vote and goes directly to the Department of Justice for adjudication? I don't know.
I don't either. Did you, watching that, did you ask yourself, kind of wondering what's in his soul? You just look at that person and you wonder, is it the riches that made him so immune to human suffering, where everything was justifying what was going on in his personal life, or how he was enriching himself and lying to us and promoting all these things that we know weren't true, 6 feet, vaccines, boosters. You know, we now know that he himself, after getting the vaccine, got really sick, but that was never made public. And you just kind of look at it and you wonder, like, what happens in a human soul where you become so, I don't know the word, desensitized from?
Seared in your conscience. I think there's two answers to this. One is psychology will tell you, psychologists will tell you, I'm not one, interview a lot of them, that there is a phobia, if I can, I don't know if that's the right word, but you can convince yourself of a lie to be a truth. There's a part of your psychic that you can convince yourself of a lie that it is true, even though it's not, okay? So it's a slippage in the brain or the psychic or something, I don't know. But in this case, I think there's a very spiritual application here. All sin falls into 3 categories: lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And I think you see all 3 of those there in this man. He enriched himself. He got very prideful for it. He was, the flesh being what the flesh is, the pride of life, the lust of the eyes, you want more, you want to get more, you covet things. And he got caught up into the point where there was a piece on the news last night that showed all the people on the left that were supporting him during COVID. called him the man of the year, the man of the decade, the man of the century. He was on the front of magazines and everything else. Well, sooner or later, that obviously went to his head. So the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Do you realize how much pride it takes to sit there and hear this and not flinch? That is almost evil pride, if I can use a term. So I hope he finds Jesus, but his soul is broken. I don't know how you can sit there and listen to this and not say, at least to the world, I'm sorry for this mess. He couldn't even do that.
Senator Paul said in one of the interviews following the hearing that he thinks maybe it's just his philosophical conviction that what he did was ultimately for the good cause. So while it didn't turn out in the best possible way for hundreds of thousands of people who've lost their lives and their loved ones, maybe deep inside he's still convinced either of the lie or of the fact that all these scientific things he did, the gain-of-function research, the vaccines, basically, I did my best, and it was still right. Somewhere, he's convinced of that.
But there was a point in this hearing yesterday that maybe would have brought that part of the argument under question, and that is when he instructed his staff to go to apply for these awards. So he was riding a wave of unaccountability. Accountability is everything. Why do I have a board? I'm accountable to a board. Why does a pastor have a board? We're accountable to the board. There is wisdom in the counsel of many. Anybody that isolates themselves into being the arbiter of all truth, that's a cult. And he became a scientific, medical cult unto himself, that he had the truth and everybody else was wrong. And I think that he didn't have anybody over the top of him pulling him in, or that he was accountable to. Therefore, you end up believing the lie that you're the king of the world.
Yeah.
You know.
But we kind of deal with it on a different level with the transgender issue, where people recommend things they know are harmful to kids, and yet they're so pro this agenda that they will tell a 14-year-old to get some kind of a surgery to alter themselves for the rest of their lives. And those people have to live with themselves. And yeah, somehow Anthony Fauci went home last night. I don't know what he and his wife talked about. She was in the audience.
I don't either. I pray that somewhere along the line he finds the Lord and comes to his senses. But this isn't over. It's far from being over. And he turned the world upside down with this.
Do you think it's a little too late? Or I guess it's better than never. But it's been 6 years. And some people were hoping that what we saw yesterday would happen way long time ago. Now so much else took place since then.
Well, to your point, only Dr. Fauci and Hunter Biden got the blanket pardons. So you got that was highly political, obviously, but you don't break God's laws. God's laws break you. In time, the untruth gets exposed, and in time, the truth comes out. And that's what's happening here. I don't know how he's going to handle this. I don't know, somewhere down the road. I remember interviewing Jim Baker after he went to prison, and he finally wrote the book, I Was Wrong. He wrote a book, I Was Wrong. It's this thick. I have it in my library. And what he did with the PTL Club and all the millions of dollars, and he went into all these other things that he did, it took him to go to prison before he wrote the book.
Yeah.
Maybe that's yet to happen.
Right. Sometimes a prison could be the saving.
Yeah, could be. Could be. All right, we'll take a quick chili dog break.
Oh, you scared me. Yes.
I don't know if I could do chili. Cheesecake.
Cheesecake and chili dogs.
Okay.
Bring them all.
Stop it.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. And it's beautiful, amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare. Your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. Oh, shine.
The Dove TV is pleased to announce we're now seen in the San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area via a new full-power TV station, KEDB, seen on cable, satellite TV, and over the air. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative for San Francisco, Oakland, and the San Jose area on new full-power KEDB TV.
Hey, how y'all doing up there?
Good.
Happy, what is today? What am I doing?
We are on here.
Okay.
Fires.
I got to get through this real quick. Hey, hi. Let me just say this. I don't mean to get through it quick, but we just want to let you know that the 26 fire season is now 4 times more already, and it's not even August yet, 4 times greater than it was last year. 1.5 million acres are burning in the state of Oregon, primarily in central and northeastern Oregon. 12,000 people are working to contain some of these fires. There are 30 large fires that don't even begin to get contained. Thousands of acres are burning. And the counties that are involved are just some of them: Baker County, Hood River, Jefferson, Malheur, Union, Wallala, Wasco, just to name a few, parts of Deschutes. This is unbelievable what's happening over in central and eastern Oregon. Some of them they're getting a handle on, some that they're not. I made the comment yesterday that Medford is a air tanker base, and it is. We have 4 aircraft sitting on the field this morning. 2 of them are 2 DC-10s. That picture right there, that's a DC-10. We have 2 of those sitting on the field. They refuel here and go over there and deliver their retardants. I was reminded yesterday, yes, Redmond is also a tanker base. They also have a lot of planes on the field there, so there's a lot of assets working these fires. And 12,000 people working these fires, including support groups. And over 6,000 people have been evacuated, displaced, and yes, there is loss of structures. It's just a mess, so be careful. And if you look out our own backyard, it is extremely dry. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Thursday. Let's check out what's happening there. Thank you, Preston. It's Smart Lawn. The numbers yesterday were kind of jumpy. Today, let's take a look at it. The Dow's back up 346 points. The Nas has really jumped up 615 points. Wow, what's driving that? The S&P, which drives everything up, is 93, almost 94 points. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's because of the light of COVID or a response to Iran. Gold has jumped up over $1,000, $41.53. Silver's up to $58. And look at this, crude oil dropped below 90. And I think this has to do that we are striking back Iran pretty hard. So the combination of headlines makes Wall Street very nervous overall. So that's what happens.
Well, a new research from Ronald Reagan's Foundation has found that people that were surveyed believe that 60% of our politicians, the majority, have gotten worse over time in their conduct. And 80% of those surveyed said that they wish that politicians on both sides would reach out and try to find common ground. Is it possible in our age of division? Fred Ryan, who is the chairman of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation, spoke at the opening of their latest forum and made a point that it is possible to be civil and respectful in politics.
But despite the current state of affairs, it always hasn't been this way. And that's one reason that we're optimistic that the next generation of leaders can help bring the country back together again. And this was an important part of Ronald Reagan's success as president. I want to ask you first, I want to mention someone, Tip O'Neill. How many of you raised your hand know who Tip O'Neill is? Okay, great. Well, Tip O'Neill, to give you a little background, was a Democrat, liberal leader, Speaker of the House from the East, and Ronald Reagan was conservative Republican governor from the West, and they didn't agree on much politically, but they found that they could form a personal relationship where they could get together after hours, they could get to understand each other, so when the time came, even though they disagreed on so much, they could find common ground and move the country forward. And in fact, they would, there was a famous story where they would get together in the evenings, and then the next day, Tip O'Neill would be up on Capitol Hill very viciously attacking all of Ronald Reagan's proposals, to the point where President Reagan called him and said, wait a minute, I thought we were friends. Last night, everything seemed like we were friends. And Tip O'Neill said, we are friends, but only after 5 o'clock. So what Ronald Reagan would do is set his watch ahead to 5 o'clock every time he saw Tip O'Neill and say, Tip, it's 5 o'clock, we're friends. A second lesson I would just point to with President Reagan is he would tell us, if you're trying to get something done, if you can get 80% of what you want, take it, and then come back and try to get the next 20% next time. That's a change from today where so much has become a zero-sum game, where it's not just enough for your side to win, but sometimes you want the other side to have a humiliating loss. The notion of civility in politics may sound foreign to those of you who've grown up in the age of toxic social media and viral politics that demonize and dehumanize our opponents. But on this very day, we have a poignant example that's a reminder that politics can be civil and respectful. Barely a mile away from here, a special tribute is being held in the rotunda of the United States Capitol in honor of Senator Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan, can we get along? Can we ever return civility to public service? That's the question.
Do you think?
I think that we can start with one simple little thing. It will take time because it's very divided and it's very hard, okay? But we can clean up our language. And what I watched, people yesterday were angry. I understand anger. I totally get it. I get angry. I know you don't. You're a little angel, but I get angry, you know. But I have to tell you, publicly, you got to watch your tongue. And we're using very foul language. And the president's using very foul language. It doesn't do anything any good. It's degrading. It's cheap. And so we can start by cleaning up our language. We can disagree agreeably, but at the end of the day, we have to return civility, and we have to go ahead and elect people who are good citizens that are not just angry people. Mm-hmm. A lot of people run because they're angry. That's the wrong reason to run. So,
yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. Oh, shine.
Pastor Jack Hibbs, championing religious liberty, a deep love of God, freedom, and America.
That liberty is God-given, not government-granted.
You may have seen him in the news during COVID. as he pushed back against government-mandated church closures. Now you can see him on the Dove TV every weekend on Real Life with Jack Hibbs.
You and I cannot afford to be casual about what God has actually said in His Word regarding the future.
Learn, grow in your faith, and impact the world with authentic biblical teaching.
The Bible warns us to avoid private interpretations.
Jack challenges today's generation to understand and practice a biblical worldview, verse by verse, addressing key cultural and daily life issues. Deepen your walk with Christ to make an effective impact on your world. Don't miss Real Life with Jack Hibbs, Sundays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on the Dove TV.
All right, well, over the last 24 hours, the United States has responded to Iraq in a very hard way, and the U.S. has launched major strikes inside Iran. So let's check in with CBN News and Paul Petit.
This morning, Jordanian Defense Forces shot down 5 missiles launched from Iran. In Kuwait, an Iranian missile struck a building owned by a Chinese company, killing 1 person. The missiles fired after the U.S. military attacked Iranian military targets overnight in what Central Command called a heavy wave of strikes, 1 day after foiling an Iranian missile attack on a U.S. base in Jordan. 2 hours, U.S. forces struck dozens of IRGC targets, including command centers, missile and drone facilities, and coastal defense sites. Iranian media reported explosions across southern Iran. The strikes serve as retaliation after Iran fired multiple ballistic missiles toward U.S. bases across the Middle East Wednesday in a surprise attack. An Iranian drone reportedly struck the U.S.-owned gas storage tanker at a port in Egypt, sparking a fire that spread to a second vessel. President Trump announced the U.S. attacks beforehand.
We're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it.
He added that he's still open to negotiations.
And we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point.
The Wall Street Journal reports the White House is considering a 10 to 14-day air campaign after CENTCOM's commander presented plans to attack Iran's missile arsenal. In Washington for talks with President Trump and Senator Lindsey Graham's funeral, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with ABC News.
My goal is to make sure that Iran, with this regime, doesn't have nuclear weapons. And that's something that President Trump and I both agree on, because it would be a different world.
Another key issue is Saudi Arabia. Netanyahu says Trump assured him the U.S.-Saudi nuclear deal remains linked to Saudi normalization with Israel through the Abraham Accords. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is seeking an international coalition to protect Red Sea shipping from Houthi attacks, while Iran's Revolutionary Guard claims it struck 3 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday. And according to reports, Iran is preparing to receive up to 400 Chinese-made missiles and shoulder-fired air defense missile systems as it rebuilds its short-range defenses. China, however, denies the report. In Washington, Netanyahu told evangelical leaders the world is, quote, under attack from the rising tide of anti-Semitism and anti-evangelicalism, adding, it's not accidental that the two are coming under a joint attack because we are one.
And Paul Petit is with us now from Jerusalem. Paul, President Trump unleashed some expletives in his response to Iran's surprise attack during the pause in fighting. The president also had a few other choice words for Iran and its proxies. What else can you share?
Yes, strong words, Lori, and good morning to you. Well, using different words, let's say, Trump said Iran will basically get a beating after what he called a surprise attack that gave American troops only minutes to respond. The president also called Iran-backed militias in Iraq a cancer on the world. This signals that his frustration isn't limited to Iran itself, but extends on to its entire network of proxies across the region. Despite the response, though, Trump has not completely closed the door on diplomacy. In fact, he said negotiations will continue and he'll be waiting to hear from Iran, though he did warn that there would be a much higher level of military action if those talks fail. Now, and it's important to remember that even if Iran has been weakened, its proxies have not disappeared. From the Houthis in Yemen to militias in Iraq and even potential sleeper cells abroad, Iran still has multiple ways to escalate this conflict without firing a single missile from its own territory. Lori?
So the president spoke in general terms about what is in the immediate future. Do we have any more specific idea about what the U.S. is planning to do next?
Yeah, as mentioned in my report, Lori, the Wall Street Journal reports that CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper has developed what he calls a 2-week go big option. This would dramatically expand the air war against Iran. The more aggressive plan, I should say, would move beyond this tit for tat strikes to break the current stalemate. Now, the thinking here is simple. The fewer simple missiles Iran has to fire, the fewer interceptors the United States needs to use to defend its forces and its allies. And what's interesting is that President Trump has not yet made a final decision. So the administration appears to be pursuing sort of a 2-track strategy, keeping diplomacy channels open while at the same time positioning itself to dramatically escalate if, in fact, it is necessary.
Well,
a lot going on as always.
Always a lot going on. Let's check out the weather. That's going on. It's kind of nice out there.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny throughout the region with Vancouver reaching 79. Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville settle into the low 80s this afternoon. Through the Willamette Valley, mostly sunny in Salem with a high of 82. Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene become sunny with afternoon highs in the low 80s, cooling into the low to mid 50s overnight. Central Oregon sees patchy smoke before mostly sunny skies in Prineville with a high of 89, while Bend and Sun River are mostly sunny in 86. Patchy smoke in Boise, then sunny and hot with a high of 100. Along the Oregon coast, patchy fog gives way to mostly sunny skies in Coos Bay and Crescent City in the mid to upper 60s. Port Orford stays mostly sunny with a high of 67, while Brookings is partly sunny in 58. In southern Oregon, becoming sunny in 91 in Grants Pass and 93 for Medford. Ashland and Klamath Falls see mostly sunny skies with highs near 90, with overnight lows in the 50s. Across northern California, Wairika becomes sunny with a high of 95. Redding reaches 101 and Chico 99 under sunny and hot conditions, while Fort Bragg stays sunny with a high of 66. Around the Bay Area, clear sunny skies with highs of 91 in Santa Rosa, 87 in Napa, 73 in San Francisco, and 86 in San Jose with calm northwest winds. Sunny and hot for Central California with a high of 97 in Sacramento. Stockton and Modesto top out at 98, while Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield heat up to 102. That's a snapshot of Thursday's weather from Grange Co-op.
Well, if Perry didn't have to be here, he would be flying around in a little cute airplane. Well, this one we have a story about you never flew in. What is it?
P-51, Mustang P-51.
Mustang. So is it?
Yeah.
Why is it Mustang? Why is it?
Well, it was just a nickname they gave it. It was a warbird, very fast, beautiful, well designed, fun to fly, hard to fly. But once it was airborne, it was in its day, it was a rocket.
You just wish you find someone in your life who talks about you with as much love as Perry talks about airplanes. But Jerry has the story for us about this P Mustang cute little plane.
On July 30th, 1983, aviation history was made in California when a highly modified North American P-51 Mustang, the Red Baron, set the official world speed record for a piston-driven aircraft at an astonishing 517 miles per hour. The amazing part? The P-51 was originally designed more than 40 years earlier during World War II. Powered by its legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin V12 engine, the Mustang was one of the finest fighter aircraft ever built, prized for its speed, range, and maneuverability. Engineers later refined the airframe and squeezed every ounce of performance from that classic design to achieve a record many thought impossible. More than 15,000 P-51s were built during the war, and remarkably, it's estimated that over 150 are still flying today, with several hundred more preserved in museums and private collections around the world. Not bad for an aircraft whose first flight was back in 1940, and a reminder that great engineering never goes out of style.
Yeah, it's a beautiful plane, and Tom Cruise owns one of those. I guess he's quite a pilot. They're not an easy aircraft to fly, but they are beautiful.
You said they're not easy to take off.
Yeah, the dangerous part is that the engine is so powerful, they call it a P factor, especially when you're flying a twin engine. There's different varieties of that, and especially if you lose an engine on takeoff. All technical things. Okay, I learned the hard way. But on a P-51, you're going down the runway, and if you lift it off too soon, the engine's so powerful, it'll turn the way the prop's going, and you can get into trouble. And you have to kick in the opposite rudder to hold it on the ground. So once you're airborne, it's a great plane to fly.
I hope you fly it one day.
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, good morning to you. Charlie Kirk, you know, we miss him dearly. He is, one of his hallmarks was going to colleges and debating students. And I thought he did a pretty good job, and so that's where he lost his life. But one of them was what it was like to be, the decision he made to become a Christian. And he's talking to a student about this.
Are you a Christian by any chance?
Very, very much so.
Like, why is that exactly?
Jesus saved my life. I'm a sinner, gave my life to Christ, most important decision I ever made.
So you believe the Bible is real?
Yes, I believe the Bible is true and real. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I could give you the technical answer. There's never been an archaeological discovery that has contradicted the truth of the Bible. And then, of course, the wisdom. There is not a truth of the Bible that if you apply to your life does not improve dramatically. And then finally, we have the most accurate and transparent, historically robust account that one can have of the most important figure ever to live in the history of the world, Jesus of Nazareth. And the resurrection is the pinpoint of my belief that Jesus did rise from the grave so that we may live. If Genesis 1:1 and the resurrection is true, anything in the Bible is possible. You're looking at the greatest miracle. The greatest miracle is creation. And then the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. And I say, how do you know that Jesus rose from the dead? Well, show me another historical piece of a story where so many people willingly died a brutal death for a lie.
All good arguments.
Well, he was an amazing politician, not a politician, apologist.
Yeah,
you know?
And they were just all there, and he could pull them out of his heart and talk to people.
Do you realize we are coming up? It's not even been a year since we lost. It's been September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So.
10 months, yeah.
Amazing. All right, we'll take a quick break because we're dealing with cheesecakes and
chili dogs.
Chili dogs. I don't think I could have both.
Oh, you can. Trust me.
No, my gut couldn't handle that.
Well,
but if I had to pick between the two, cheesecake.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take the dog. And then cheesecake.
Okay. We'll be right back.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect. Jerry's Historical Archives. Moments to remember. Go back in time. Back in the day. TV shows of the past. Relive the past and learn something new. Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove. In a world desperately seeking truth, Cliff Connectley and his son Stuart travel across the U.S. to give an answer for questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
What is the evidence that Muhammad spoke the truth? What is the evidence that Jesus Christ spoke the truth?
Their mission is to ignite a passion for truth, guide individuals to embrace faith, and help people find purpose. Engaging skeptics.
It kind of sounds like then that God punished us. The vast majority of chaos in nature is a direct result of God's stepping back.
They're driven by a deep commitment for spreading the message of Christ to a world who needs Him.
But you see, what Satan has done is he's put doubt in our mind.
Join them as they strive to make a lasting impact on lives and hearts, sharing the love of Jesus with an unwavering dedication.
Because God loves you, and God has given you gifts.
Watch Give Me an Answer, weekdays at 3 on theDove TV.
Hi, how you doing? 9 minutes before the hour, Polina's here.
9 minutes before cheesecake.
9 minutes before cheesecake. You gonna go out and have some?
I don't know.
Oh,
God is in charge.
There he is. DSA. Are you familiar with that term now?
You told me about it, yes.
Well, it's the Democratic Socialists of America. That's what it's the new acronym that's floating around out there. Okay. We have a lot of acronyms out there. Well, there was a DSA co-chair talking on one of the Fox programs about their agenda, which is pretty much doing away with the presidency, doing away with the Supreme Court, doing away with the Pentagon, and the list goes on and on and on. And they're growing in great leaps and bounds, okay? And so I asked Bob to kind of respond to the clip that I did show him on that, because part of it was the commentary from the person who was doing the story saying, these people are coming on radio and television knowing that the audience that they're talking to them about reject them. They know that. But the reason they're doing it is that they're softening us to slowly accept it because it's being talked about so much and it's so ridiculous that we just push it over here and they move forward.
Yeah, little by little.
Little by little. So here's what Bob just had to say about that.
You know, that the culture and the media are so influential in attempting to tell us what to think that if they, it's going to be very important, I was going to say interesting, but this is not entertainment. I don't care about interesting. This is dangerous. It's stupid because it comes from a place of not even understanding what America is. And that's always been the problem. Our public schools, for the longest time now, have not taught civics, don't understand what America is. The very fact that the Democrats, the mainstream, you know, moderate, whatever, regular leadership Democrats are talking about packing the court, it just, and of course rejecting under God America, rejecting the Declaration of Independence. One prominent senator, I can't remember his name right now, but prominent, I think the Connecticut senator, no, it's actually the guy who had actually run for vice president at one point, actually said that anyone who thinks there's a higher authority than government is dangerous. He said something like that. Well, to say, and this is a prominent senator who was a vice presidential candidate, to say something like that means you do not understand America, okay? And if you do not understand America, that probably means you've not been taught what America is. So these people, if we don't start teaching America, teaching under God America in our public schools, then this will take over. What counters it, as I say, gospel politics, what counters it is for us to show forth the truth of America, not talking all the time about the sins or mistakes we made, but what is the truth of America. We need public schools that teach that. We can't have a country where people who want to learn what America is have to go to private Christian schools or independent schools. We need to be teaching that in our public schools.
Well, there we go.
Bob for office.
Bob for office.
Is he still a Democrat?
He's thinking about leaving and becoming an there's just not enough pills to fix him yet.
No.
Okay. Hey, Robert Morgan's going to be with me in just a few moments. He's the author of all these books we have here.
And I don't think I have time for the next one, or do I? Tell which clock is right. Well, okay, here's a rescue story that Jerry has for us.
An ordinary trip to the post office in Clifton, Arizona turned into a life or death emergency when 8-month-old Nova Vega suddenly stopped breathing in her mother's arms. Thankfully, postal clerk Mary Schwartz, a former nurse with 13 years of experience, didn't hesitate. She rushed from behind the counter, found no pulse, and immediately began CPR and back thrusts after learning the baby may have choked. A nearby police lieutenant joined the rescue, and together they raced Nova to a local clinic. Halfway there, the little girl began breathing again. Nova was later transferred to a hospital in Tucson where she underwent surgery for a congenital heart defect. Her grateful mother says she'll never forget the strangers who stepped in to save her daughter's life. And Mary Schwartz hopes the story inspires more people to learn CPR because you never know when the knowledge to save a life might be needed.
Pastor Robert Jeffers of the First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas.
Not just about Christ Jesus, but that I might know him.
Helping you learn, grow, and get on the pathway to victory. Catch it 7 times every weekend on the Dove TV.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage, advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon.
Thursday, faith and freedom under siege.
There's been an all-out attack to destroy America's Christian founding.
Our nation's history is being rewritten.
As Karl Marx said, people without a heritage are easily persuaded.
What really shaped America?
The city was transformed.
And what can rescue it?
Because then when people have changed hearts, they will begin to live out their faith.
Thursday on the 700 Club on the Dove TV.
Most people have no idea what their money is funding. That's why it's so important to know who you're investing in and what they stand for. At Financial Issues, we help Christians invest with biblical values. Our daily live broadcast covers the economy, markets, and even politics through a financial lens grounded in a biblical worldview. Watch Financial Issues daily at 5 p.m. Pacific Time right here on the Dove.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Redding and the North State. Seen on KRDT 23, KDRC 26, Channel 16, Channel 29, and these Dove TV affiliates.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I have been so looking forward to our special guest today. I have in front of me just the books that he has written that are in our house, okay? I am delighted to have back with us today Robert Morgan. He's a best-selling author, Bible teacher, teaching pastor there at the Donaldson Fellowship in Nashville, Tennessee. He's written more than 35 books, including The Red Sea Rules, the 100 Bible Verses That Made America, The Lord is My Shepherd. His books have sold more than 4.5 million copies worldwide, and he's known for connecting biblical truth with history and everyday life. He does have a website. RobertJMorgan.com is the website. RobertJMorgan.com. Robert, so good to see you. Let's see here. I want to show you what I have here. These are the ones in our house. Come Let Us Adore Him, Christmas. Great is thy faithfulness. Let's see, this is Then Sings My Soul, 150 of the world's greatest hymns, and then Sings My Soul, Book 3. And I just finished night before last, The Lord is My Shepherd, and I just started last night, The Strength You Need. The only thing I can say is, brother, thank you.
Terry, I need to send you some of our more recent books too. I'll put together a little care package for you.
Well, the only thing I can say is thank you for listening to the Lord and being obedient. This is such great stuff. I so got so much out of this book. Now, I'm a slow reader, and I like being a slow reader, but I have to tell you, I marked this book up like crazy. The Lord is my shepherd. And last night I read chapter 1 in this one, the strength that you need. And it's interesting, you started the book talking about your own burnout.
Well, yeah, my wife and I, my wife Katrina is in heaven now, but she was battling multiple sclerosis, and we went through a very difficult time in terms of all of the pressures on us. And she and I both found 12 different passages in the Bible on the subject of strength. And we memorized those verses, and they helped us a lot. But that's how that book came about.
Well, I just got through chapter 1, and the verse that is found in Deuteronomy, your strength will equal your days.
Yes.
I had to just stop and camp and think for a while, and I just want to say thank you for bringing that to light.
Well, there's a wonderful hymn. I love the great hymns too, and How Firm a Foundation has that particular verse put into a stanza of that song. In every condition, in sickness and health, in poverty's veil or abounding in wealth, at home or abroad, on the land or the sea, as your days may demand, shall your strength ever be. And I focus on that verse in my own life. As our days are, so our strength shall be.
Wow. So I want to kind of zero in on the Lord is my shepherd. A couple of things. What drew you to this passage of Scripture? What was going on in your life that you took this one on?
Well, when I was in elementary school and the government schools and the public schools, we still memorized Scripture. So I memorized Psalm 23. I think it was in the second grade. And I've known it and loved it for years. When I was in college, my pastor preached a series of sermons on the 23rd Psalm. And I thought they were the most wonderful sermons that I'd ever heard. And over the years, as a pastor, I myself preached through the 23rd Psalm, and every time I did, I learned more about it. And when our children were younger, we actually had a flock of sheep that lived in our back meadow. So we did a little shepherding ourselves, and I finally brought all of those experiences together with some deep dives into the text and came up with this book, The Lord is My Shepherd. The title that I wanted for it was The Lord is My Shepherd, and That's Enough. Because there's an old story, Perry, about back in the days when newspapers would put the titles of sermons in the Saturday edition. The reporter called the preacher of the Baptist church, and he said, "What's your sermon for tomorrow?" And he said, "The Lord is my shepherd." And the reporter said, "Is that all?" And the pastor said, "That's enough." And so the title of the sermon was The Lord is My Shepherd, That's Enough. But somehow that didn't make it onto the cover of my book, but that is the theme of Psalm 23.
Well, I can tell you, as an old 4-H'er, I had sheep.
Yeah.
And I got out of the sheep thing quite quickly because they're dumb. And
they can be loving. They can be loving, Terry.
And I went off into bees and horses, which is another story. But did you know Dr. Kevin Lehman? You ever heard of
I
him?
don't know him personally, but I know of him, yes.
Oh, he's a good friend. He wrote a book called The Way of the Shepherd, and he uses the metaphor of sheep. And it kind of fits what you're talking about here. But I just want to commend you. You and your family and your daughters learned so much from raising the sheep, and you applied it in this book. But the other part of this book that I want people, and for you to kind of zero down on, is what led David to write this? What was going on in his life that he came up with this poem?
I think the most important thing that we can discover about the 23rd Psalm is that it follows the migratory pattern that David would have taken his sheep on every year, and which his family had been doing for 1,000 years. We go back to Genesis 37. I think, Perry, Genesis 37 is the secret for understanding the 23rd Psalm. Joseph is down in Hebron with his father, and his father says, go check on your brothers. They are migrating with the sheep. So Joseph goes all the way up to Shechem, which is a 50-mile journey. And they tell him they're not here. They've gone on to Dothan. So Joseph goes on to Dothan, which is another 25. And you can trace that on the map if you have a Bible map, because sheep, it was too hot in the summer down in Dothan. So every year they would go on this migration. They go on a circle. That's what the 23rd Psalm is. We begin at the Father's house in Hebron, as it were, with green pastures and still waters. And then as the summer begins, we get on the right paths. We follow the shepherd. We go through dark canyons, maybe. We end up on the tablelands. And then eventually we circle back to our Father's house. So the 23rd Psalm is a story of the migration of our lives under the guidance of a very loving, wise, strong, protective shepherd.
Let's deal with the Lord is my shepherd. That's enough.
Well, that's the theme. I mean, it begins by saying, the Lord is my shepherd, so I have everything that I need. I shall not want. That is the theme. If the Lord is our shepherd, then all of our other needs are going to be met in his timing and in his way. You may have financial needs. You may have relational needs. You may need love in your life or a set of friendships. You may need a husband, a wife. You may need a family. You may need financial help. And we're not passive in all of those things. But Jesus put it this way: seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. The Lord knows you need them. And that really is what Psalm 23 is all about. At all of the different stages in life and the migration of our days, if the Lord is our shepherd, then we will have everything that we need. He will provide for us.
You reference several times stories that you came across of people that recited this in very, very difficult situations. Why is this poem the one that's recited? What is it about the 23rd Psalm that in a very difficult situation somehow it settles the storm?
Oh, yes. I began the book with the remarkable story of a British sailor who was thrown overboard when his ship exploded during World War II. And there in the waters, he recited the 23rd Psalm. And there are so many stories like this. There are a couple of reasons. First of all, it is so beautiful that it is, until our own generation, every generation has memorized it. If you were a child, you just memorized Psalm 23. Sadly, that's not true now, but it has been in every other generation, at least in American history and really in the Judeo-Christian world. Secondly, it's short enough to learn. There's only 6 verses there. But thirdly, Perry, it is very personal. When we say the Lord's Prayer, that is a united prayer. Our Father, give us this day our daily bread. But the 23rd Psalm is me and my and you. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And in the middle, it actually changes from he to you. It begins by saying, he leads me. He guides me. But then it says, even in the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. And it changes to first person. So it is beautiful, it is practical, it is short, it is memorable, but it's also very personal. And because it covers the migration of life, there is never a situation we go through, but that we cannot find some help and aid in the 23rd Psalm.
What is the shadow of the valley of death?
I think David was basing this on the Wadi Kelt. Wadi is the Aramaic word or Arabic word for chasm or valley. And so I've been there many, many times between Jericho and Jerusalem. Maybe you've been there. There is this deep valley. It's a gorge. It's very narrow. I've hiked in parts of it. It was the old Jericho road that Jesus would have taken. This is the place where the parable of the Good Samaritan took place. And David, when he migrated with the sheep, would have gone through this dark valley. And I don't think that this is a reference to death. It's called in the King James the valley of the shadow of death, but it really is just a dark valley. And we don't really die in the 23rd Psalm. At the end, we are in our Father's house. We live in the house of the Lord forever. We have eternal life. But along the way, we go through some dark valleys. There are some chasms that we may have to walk through, and they may be frightening. They may be dark. The waters may be raging. There may be predators. There could be bandits there and thieves. There are just certain moments in our lives in which we are scared, we are anxious, we are worried. But there is when we draw closest to our good shepherd. That is when he helps us the most. He is with us in the valley of the shadow.
Beautiful. Let me just say to our viewers and listeners, I got to take a break here, but we got a bunch of them, and we're talking about this book right here. It's called The Lord is My Shepherd by Robert Morgan, and it's available online at bookstores everywhere. And I have to tell you, don't be in a hurry to read this book. Take your time. Soak it in. It'll end up being one of the greatest encouragers you've ever read. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other, 'cause Jesus is the way. Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him there's no other, 'cause Jesus is the way. Sing along.
Do events in the world leave you confused and scratching your head? A world where up is down and down is up.
I'm Perry Atkinson. Mornings on the Dove knows how you feel. We're here to offer God's hope and encouragement and to help you to sort it all out.
And I'm Jerry Bilden. Mornings on the Dove alerts you to issues and events the mainstream media would rather you not know or know the truth.
A lot in the news today, some movement around in the Middle East, common sense discussions on today's headlines, and rational perspective on what's really going on.
That will leave you better informed and encouraged by the gospel.
In this upside-down world, there's one place you can trust to get it straight.
Check into Mornings on the Dove each day to find out what's really going on and to be encouraged.
Mornings on the Dove, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on the Dove TV and radio. Streaming online at thedove.us, Roku, and Apple TV. The Dove, encouraging and informative.
Well, welcome back. No, I'm not at a book show, but I might as well be here. I have Robert Morgan. It's such an honor to have him with us today. Best-selling author, Bible teacher, pastor. These are just some of the books. These are the ones that are in our house, Robert. And I just can't say enough. By the way, the one we're talking about is this one here. It's called The Lord is My Shepherd. It's just phenomenal. This one is, let's see, Come Let Us Adore Him, stories behind most of the cherished Christmas hymns. This one here is called Great is Thy Faithfulness. My wife just got through reading that one. She's a music director, so Then Sings My Soul. This is book 3. There's book 1, which you've done all the old hymns, which is just outstanding. And then I just started this one last night. I only got through chapter 1, and it's called The Strength You Need, the 12 great strength passages of the Bible that he and his wife selected, and just amazing stuff. So again, thank you for your talent and your gift. Gosh, it's just wonderful. A couple things in the 23rd Psalm before I move on to some other topics here. What does it mean to He restores my soul?
Well, this is perpetual revival. If you're like me, and I know some of the people watching and listening are, we get discouraged too easily. We become cast down. There's a lot of things to worry about in life. We have a lot of anxiety. Things don't always happen the way we want them to, and we just get discouraged. And, you know, the psalmist said in another place, "Why are you cast down, O my soul?" And there was a condition that sheep have. We call a sheep a cast sheep, or a cast down sheep. If they get stuck on their back, maybe they roll over into a ditch, they get muddy, that thick, heavy wool becomes bogged down, and they can't get back on their feet. They are cast sheep. They are cast down. And it requires the shepherd to come and get them back on their feet. And Perry, many a time in my life, I've been cast down. And through the scripture, through prayer, by the work of the Holy Spirit in my heart, maybe through a good book or a good sermon from someone else, the Lord has put me back on my feet. He doesn't want us to remain discouraged. I think that we cannot help but occasionally be discouraged or disappointed, but we do not need to stay that way. And so when it says He restores my soul, it is telling us that God intends for us to live in perpetual revival. We don't need to be cast down, and when we get discouraged, we shouldn't stay that way. There may be reasons to be cast down, but there are better reasons to be lifted up.
It's beautiful. The other one I want you to comment is actually the very next line. He leads me in the path of righteousness for His name's sake. I loved your writing on it, but I want you to tell our audience.
I think there are a couple of shades of meaning to that. It means, first of all, that He leads us in the right paths. He knows the way that we should go. I try to work with young adults. I love my young adults. I've got about 20 of them that gather at my house for Bible study. And one of the major subjects is guidance. How do I know what God wants me to do, who He wants me to date, what He wants me to do about college or about a vocation or career or a family? And the Lord guides us. There's so many wonderful hymns of guidance. All the way my Savior leads me, what have I to ask beside? The Lord knows how to guide us in the right paths. But those right paths are also righteous paths. He wants us to live lives of increasing holiness and righteousness and be better and better in our morality and our ethics and the way we go about life and our maturity. You know, the Christian life is one of growth. We have to overcome besetting sins. We have to become people who are more mature, who are better able to handle our tempers and handle the words that we say and the attitudes that we have, who have less and less bitterness and more joy in our life. All of that is increasing holiness. It is becoming more and more like Christ. So He leads me in paths of righteousness means that He leads us in the right paths, but He leads us in paths that are increasingly righteous, in which we are growing and developing in our ability to replicate the person of Christ.
Well, let me say to our viewers and listeners again, this is readily available. You can get this at any of the bookstores or online. It's called The Lord is My Shepherd by Robert Morgan, and let me encourage you to get it. I just finished it. The only thing I can say, Robert, is thank you. Every line in there that you wrote about, I gleaned a lot from, so thank you.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I did pick this one up. I just want to touch on it because I don't want you to give it all away because I just started reading it. But it's called The Strength You Need, dealing with 12 greatest scriptures out of the Bible to get strength from. I've learned in interviewing so many people and things through the days that there is a burnout factor in Christian work, ministry, pastors. You write about that. It's produced a level of cynicism which can be the cancer of the soul if we don't bring it under control, so to speak. How big is the fatigue burnout problem from your perspective in ministry?
I think it's significant, especially in this day and age in which everything is moving so quickly and there's increasing opposition to what we are doing as believers in this world. In my book, 100 Bible Verses That Made America, I talk about the many times in which the Bible has impacted our American history. And we're coming to a point now where we have Marxists who are trying to set the agenda. So everything about ministry and pastoring and serving the Lord and going to church and being a faithful Christian is becoming more difficult. But to me, the reason that I've never succumbed to burnout, even though I've been around the edges of it, is I was taught as a teenager to meet with the Lord every day and have my quiet time, and ministry is overflow. I've never written a book because I sat down to write a book. I've written books or preached sermons because it's the overflow of what God was doing in my own life. And The Strength You Need is a book that basically is just telling the impact of these 12 wonderful passages about strength. Those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength, and the joy of the Lord is my strength. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And these wonderful verses in which God promises to give us strength, I've had to cycle through those verses, or maybe it's better to say I've had to let those verses cycle through me many a time. And I think if we do that, if we are meditating on God's word and spending time with him, and we find the strength of his presence in our lives, that is the most powerful force in mitigating burnout.
What does be still and know mean to you?
Well, for me, there's this practice that we've called for the last couple of 100 years, we've called it the quiet time. And I was taught, Billy Graham's wife, Ruth Graham, was one of my mentors, and she taught me to have a little notebook and an open Bible and a desk somewhere and maybe a cup of coffee or a cup of hot tea and just spend time with the Lord, listening to him by reading my Bible in a methodical way and pondering what I was reading there, meditating on it, and then turning it back into prayer. And so to me, that is the most important daily practice when it comes to being still. It's my daily quiet time. But then we need breaks, don't we? I've got to get away occasionally just to the mountains or to the beach, or maybe I've got to take an afternoon off and just sit in the backyard. And we are so busy. I mean, busy is the middle name of everyone that I know. And we become so busy that our minds are swirling. We feel like the globe is spinning faster and faster, and it's about to fling us off. And sometimes we need to take a hike along a quiet lake or do something and just settle down and do a little something for ourselves in the presence of the Lord. So on a daily basis, it's my quiet time. On an occasional basis, it is just getting away to take stock, to reevaluate, to take a deep breath, and to enjoy life a little bit. God intends for us to enjoy life. He wants us to be full of joy and not full of all of this pressure that we're putting ourselves under all the time.
What would you say to a pastor that doesn't feel what he's preaching?
I just don't really understand that. I was taught to preach from the overflow. The Bible teaches overflow. In Romans chapter 15, verse 13, it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you will overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." We are filled so that we will overflow. We're like Multnomah Falls, or a double waterfall, where we're a pool of water and the waterfall is gushing into us, and then what we do is simply overflow. So if a pastor is not operating on that basis, then he needs to stop immediately and recalibrate and say, "Lord, I don't want to just find sermons anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore in the strength of my own flesh or my own personality. I'm running out of strength. I just want to walk with you and let the overflow of my fellowship with you become ministry." There's an old song that says, "Lord, speak to me that I may speak in living echoes of thy tone."
Beautiful. Robert, I could talk to you for hours, but the last question I have for you, what is the overflow in your life today?
Well, I'm just preaching and thinking about Genesis. I'm going through Genesis in my notebook. I told you, Perry, that I've got young adults that come over, and Sunday afternoon, I sat down with my journal and I said, "Lord, I'm too old. I don't think I can attract young adults anymore. I don't think I can impact them. I don't think that I have the magnetism for that, but you do." And then I opened my Bible and my Bible reading to Genesis 41. "And Joseph said to Pharaoh, I cannot do this, but God will." And it's as though I saw right there in the Bible what I just said to the Lord in prayer. And I've sort of been living on that verse for all this week. I cannot do it, but God can.
You're fascinating. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, first of all, go to Robert's website, robertjmorgan.com. Very resourceful. You can see his books online and certainly in most bookstores, obviously. The one that I would really encourage you to start with, if you've never read anything that he's done, is start with this one here, "The Lord is My Shepherd." He does an amazing job of bringing back the history and the importance of the hymns. And I have to tell you, Robert, from what I understand, I work with a lot of Christian broadcasters around the world, part of the United Christian Broadcasters Group. We're testing something in New Zealand, of all places. And we took one of our radio formats down there, the people down there did, and they moved it away from, I guess you would say, the contemporary music, not that it's bad, but they moved away more into a praise and worship, and then they inserted a bunch of hymns, the old hymns. And that country isn't very big. It's 4 million people, both islands. And it has taken off like crazy. People have just absorbed it, like, where have these been and why haven't we heard them? And they're so meaningful and they're so yada, yada, yada. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. And if you are into the old songs, the hymns, if I can put it that way, these series of books I think you'll find to be great. He's got one even for Christmas, and then, of course, this one here, "Great is Thy Faithfulness." And this is only a few of your 35. So thank you. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Perry. God bless you galore.
Galore, I like that word. Have a wonderful day, friend. God bless you.
Thank you.
Having Kelly's be an automotive shop that takes care of people first is everything that you could hope it could be. Customer service and caring about others first is extremely important, and why we come here, and why we keep coming here, and now why our children come here. The first experience they had with Kelly's, got in right away, took care of them, was honest with them, and they were like, "I'm going nowhere else but Kelly's from here on out." And so just in one experience, you have 18-year-old kids being like, "That's where I'm taking my car."
you don't drive it, donate it. By supporting us, you'll get even more mileage out of it.
Thank you from the Dove TV.
Well, welcome back, and perfect timing. Fits right in with where the theme is going today, and that is we're going to sit down for a few moments and be with our good friend Dr. Gene Getz. He's the chief editor of the Life Essential Study Bible. As you know, one of the great resources of our day. I brag about this Bible everywhere I go, and you can get it online at BiblePrinciples.org. I do know that a lot of the local bookstores, even in our own backyard, carry these Bibles. It's a Bible that has about 1,500 QR codes between Genesis and all the way over to the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation. And you run your QR reader over the top of one of those QR codes, the Dr. Getz pops up and he gives you a personal Bible study on that portion of Scripture. And it is very resourceful. Some have said this is a seminary in a box. That it is. Hello, Gene. How you doing, buddy?
Well, hey, let me, I don't speak Vietnamese, but here's the Life Essential Study Bible in Vietnamese.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's called Kinh Thang Un Yung.
Sure.
That means the Holy Bible Application.
Really?
Yeah, and it's, we just had a conference just a little over a week ago with Vietnamese pastors from all over the North America, and unveiled it to them, and the same goal is for every Bible that is purchased, we give one away in Vietnam to pastors and leaders who cannot afford one. So anyway, isn't that exciting?
Congratulations. So now you have it in Vietnamese, English, Spanish, any other?
Romanian is coming next year, and we're working right now on Portuguese. So God's opening the doors.
I can't wait to pull up those videos with you speaking Vietnamese. I have to tell you, though, I really enjoy watching you in Spanish. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. And by the way, with AI now, I just saw a sample in Portuguese, and it's just unbelievable how it's captured me speaking. They say I'm speaking perfect Portuguese, my gestures and everything. So AI is going to help us tremendously.
Oh, Gene, what a blessing. What a blessing. How are you feeling, by the way? How you
Hey, feeling great. Yeah.
You look great. Okay, well, we want to go over to the Gospel of Luke today. I only have you for one segment, and this is very powerful, dealing with redemptive grace. It's interesting. Our pastor is slowly going through the book of Luke. In fact, we are in chapter 6 at our church right now. So, but this is chapter 5. Walk us through this portion.
Well, the principle, enduring truth, I think, that emerges from the story here of Matthew, the calling of Matthew, is we should be thankful that God chooses to use transformed lives to minister to others in special ways. And of course, the passage involves the calling of Levi, Matthew, to follow Jesus. And one of the things he does is he invites Jesus to his home, and it's called a great banquet, and a large crowd reclining at the table, which indicates that Matthew was a very, very wealthy man. By the way, his last name was Sinner, tax collectors and sinners. But God transformed his life. And the Pharisees were bent out of shape about it and they said, "Why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners?" And Jesus said, "It's not those who are healthy who need a doctor, but those who are sick. I've not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." And the exciting thing is that God chose Matthew out of his materialism to record more in the Gospel of Matthew about material possessions than any other gospel writer. You know, he recorded those great words about don't store up treasures on earth, where Jesus, you know, on the Mount of Beatitudes, no one can serve two masters. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. So God chose Matthew to write more about material possessions than any other gospel writer or New Testament writer. And that's basically the basis of that principle, is that we should be thankful that God chooses to use transformed lives to minister to others in special ways. We shouldn't be critical. We should be thankful. And that's a great story.
It also, I think, underscores a basic principle. I've often said on the air, Gene, whatever God saves you from brings you through. He usually turns you around, makes you a minister too.
Right.
You know, and so if God can take a Levi Matthew and turn him around and then use his life to be the message, isn't that the essence of all of us?
Oh, that's true. And in special ways, I think God uses people that have come out of very serious sinful situations. And so I raised the question, as I do at the end of every one of the commentaries, reflection response question. I said, what contemporary examples can you give where Jesus is using transformed lifestyles to minister to others in a special way? And as I was thinking about that, and as I taught it on the video, I thought of Chuck Colson. You know, I mean, here's a guy that with Nixon, the statement he'd walk over his own grandmother to serve the president. He was a very self-righteous guy. It was a very he was a worldly guy, and God got his attention. He went to prison, as we know, but there he caught the vision, you know, of prison ministries, and God used Chuck in just a marvelous way. And I know when he became a believer, there were people who were saying, "Yeah, he's just feigning Christianity so he gets a lighter sentence in prison." Right. They were critical of him. They were thinking, how could a guy like Chuck Colson become a believer? And he did, and God used him in a marvelous way. So I see a correlation there between Matthew and Chuck Colson to illustrate this principle.
I remember interviewing him. He went on to write unbelievable books. His understanding, I guess it was his training as a attorney or legal guy, but he came out and he started to investigate. One of the things he wrote on was, we had multiculturalism and those types of terms, and he wrote books on that stuff and created an institute of higher learning that was in apologetics unlike anything I've ever seen. But to your other point, prison ministry, look what it is today and look what it's done, and look where you are with prisons today.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, and I remember reading his first book, Born Again,
yes,
and I couldn't put it down. because it was so incredibly exciting to see how God worked to bring this man to Christ.
Yeah.
And then to read the other books that he wrote about that came out of his experience, which led then to an expanded approach in apologetics and other things. And another factor there is there were people around him that built their life into him, and discipled him and helped him and encouraged him. But yeah, God uses people that like Matthew. I mean, he was a first century materialist.
Yeah.
You know, he was a tax collector. He was hated because of it. And in the Roman government, basically, the Romans said, you know, here's a certain amount, but beyond that, you can get anything you want to get from the people. So, you know, it's an amazing story.
What would you say, Gene, to somebody, they've experienced the transformed life, but they're a little reluctant to share that? What would you say to that person?
I would say, take a look at Matthew. You know, take a look at Zacchaeus. Take a look at these people who are saved out of this serious situations, and realize that God can use you. And of course, I think we have to also realize that we have to be careful that we don't take, quote, a neophyte and put them forward in a way that where they're not ready for that, because as you know, as Paul says with elders, you shouldn't choose a new believer lest the devil tempt them in terms of pride and arrogance, and they fail and they fall. I think we have to be very, very careful of that. But I would much rather see someone who's hesitant and concerned than someone who wants to be out front. And sometimes we put these people out front, and we're going to set them up for Satan's attack. And I think we have to be very careful on that. But the fact is, Jesus chose Matthew. Look what he did and how God used him.
Well, let me say to our viewers and listeners, this resource that we're using here, it's being used literally all over the world. It's called the Life Essential Study Bible. You can go to your local bookstore. I know we have them here. You can go online to Bible Principles, and Gene has this program, buy one. One gets delivered to somebody that can't afford one, BiblePrinciples.org. And by the way, you can get this whole thing on an app. It's really, really wonderful. And I have your Bible next to my bed, and when I
when you need to go to sleep.
No. It's not.
People do say that they like my voice.
It's not an insomnia getter. No, it's. But I do like going to bed with and going to sleep with your teaching on my mind. I'll put it that way, Gene. Good to see you. Congratulations on your Vietnamese Bible. God bless you, friend. Spanish, Vietnamese, all kinds of things coming up. Best to you. Talk to you soon, friend. God bless.
God bless you. Have a great day.
You too.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
He's got the whole world in his hands, and he knows the plans for us. Above and beyond we could ask or imagine, his grace is more than enough. It's in his hands, it's in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Come on, Steve.
The world has a view, but God has the vision. That's what sets the Vision TV show apart, seen on the Dove TV.
Welcome to The Vision, where the world has a view, but God has the vision.
The Vision is an inspirational talk show that elevates voices of faith through powerful conversations, highlighting changemakers making a difference.
My group, we are a collective of elder rights activists from across the nation.
Each episode blends heartfelt storytelling with practical insight.
To get up every day and just say, Lord, thank you. I'm here. If you woke me up today, you must have a purpose for me, and I think that's the thing.
Encouraging viewers to live with clarity, compassion, and vision.
We are looking for good things because this is the day that the Lord has made.
Join Alveda King and a panel of friends. The world has a view, but God has the vision. Tuesdays at 1:30 and 8:30 p.m. right here on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Boy, got an exciting guest and a short amount of time to talk to him, so I want to get right into it. I'm so honored to have with us today Michael Pack. He's the producer and the director of The Last 600 Meters. He's also the president of the Manifold Productions, which is an award-winning film company he founded in 1977. He's written and directed and produced many national broadcast documentaries, including the acclaimed film Created Equal, Clarence Thomas in his own words. He's also served as the first Senate-confirmed CEO of the U.S. Agency on Global Media, overseeing the Voice of America and other international broadcasters. He's previously led the Claremont Institute, served as senior vice president at the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, and was appointed to the National Council of Humanities. He does have a website, and that is manifoldproductions.com, manifoldproductions.com. Michael, good to see you. How are you?
I'm well. Let me also add that we have a new company, palladiumpictures.com. The logo is behind me. And
okay,
we're doing the older films are under manifoldproductions.com. That website's still working, but palladiumpictures.com would get your viewers into the newer materials.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. We're going to have to get you back. We've got a lot to talk about. I know you want to comment on yesterday's unbelievable what happened there in the Senate hearing with Dr. Fauci, where he invoked the Fifth Amendment 111 times. What's your take?
Well, we have just finished a documentary that we've done in partnership with the Wall Street Journal opinion section. It's part of our series of WSJ.com opinion docs. Your listeners get it for free. They're not behind the Wall Street Journal paywall. At WSJ.com, you can search for Lockdown Dissidents or go to its own page, which is WSJ.com/opinion docs. And it was a half-hour documentary that told the story of the lockdowns from the beginning in Wuhan up to the beginning of the Biden administration. And I think any viewer would not be surprised at either the revelations in Fauci's diary or his behavior in Congress yesterday. I mean, we try in this series with the Wall Street Journal that's only a half hour, and there are a series of half-hour documentaries, to take an issue that's been misreported or underreported or memory hold and relook at it. And I think in retrospect, things about the lockdowns are very clear. This was a vast international experiment. We had tried something never done before. We locked down whole cities and countries instead of the normal practice of focusing on those at risk. It was a gigantic experiment and a disaster for everybody. And you could see how it rolled out in our documentary. We begin in Wuhan, where it began in November, December 2019. They locked down first. And since they're a communist totalitarian country, they were able to lock down in a particularly vicious and severe manner. People were welded into their rooms, rounded up on the street. And the World Health Organization went there, declared it a success, and then lockdowns became the global standard. And we began the process here, led by Anthony Fauci. First, it was only 15 days to slow the spread, but it went on for years. But counter-evidence was already emerging by March of 2020. And we tell the story of the people who came up with alternative views, lockdown dissidents we call them, Jay Bhattacharya, Scott Atlas, and others. And by March, they had conducted studies, and the data was clear that COVID disproportionately affected older people, young people hardly at risk. There was no reason to shut down schools. But that information was consistently suppressed by Anthony Fauci, Deborah Birx, and others. These people were really gone after, or reputations ruined. And you can see that arrogance and certainty behind Dr. Fauci's diary entries, and you can see the result has been a disaster that he refuses to acknowledge in his testimony before Congress.
We have a little clip of this. We have a little bit of a trailer. I think it's 40 seconds. Let me play that for our viewers now.
Dr. Fauci said, that's the problem. The people are not afraid enough. I said, it's unethical to use fear in an emergency to manipulate people.
We wrote this declaration with the hope of telling the world that the lockdown was the wrong strategy.
Collins saying, Jay Bhattacharya, we got to take him down. What scientists talk like that?
They're killing people. High government officials, including inside the White House itself, would go to social media companies and threaten them.
Nice social media platform you got there. Shame if something happened to it.
We became more totalitarian. If you don't have free speech, you cannot have science.
The beginning, a little bit of a trailer of the documentary there, The Lockdown Descendants. And wow. Gosh, I'm trying to figure out where to go with this, Michael. He seemed to sit there unmoved by everything that was thrown at him. What happened to him? What happened inside a soul of a person like that?
It's hard to look into somebody else's soul, and it's really hard to know what Anthony Fauci's motivations were. I mean, the diary does give us insight in a way I think the hearing does not, that he is, he is a narcissist, he's an egomaniac, he loved the media attention, and he had that kind of certainty that he was right. I mean, that's, I think, one of the key things. This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which announced that we had certain unalienable rights that were given to us by God, not by government. But Fauci didn't really see it that way. He thought, because he knew best, that he could usurp those rights, even though they're unalienable, including the free speech rights of Jay Bhattacharya, Scott Atlas, and others. And that kind of certainty that you know what other people should do underlies, I think, a lot of what Dr. Fauci did. I like to see it in the most positive light, and that is he thought he was protecting people by suppressing this counter-information. He thought his approach was going to save lives and the others would not. But it's a dangerous thing to do, even if you're right and they're wrong. In this case, he was wrong and they were right. But that's the error of that kind of vanity, assuming that you're right. And I think that's his ultimate motivation.
That's interesting. Do you think we as a country learned from this?
Well, we made the film because we feared that the country did not learn from this. My experience is that people want to move on from COVID, not think about it. Look, it was a difficult, horrible time. I understand the urge to want to move on, but if we don't actually go over what happened and why, it will happen again. And I don't think we should allow any government bureaucrat, any government expert to usurp our rights. We need to be much more vigilant in protecting them. And we have to understand that exactly what the shape it took last time and what it may take again. I fear people haven't learned enough.
He's been given a blanket pardon, immunity, but it looks like what he did yesterday by invoking the Fifth 111 times, he may have created obstruction and contempt. I don't know if you know much about the legal proceedings, but is that outside the protection of the blanket pardon?
I am not sure. I'm not a lawyer, and I think it's pretty extraordinary to pardon people in advance for things they haven't necessarily been even accused of. As you know, I made this film with my partners, the Wall Street Journal opinion section. They had a lead editorial today about Anthony Fauci, and I agree with them. I mean, it's not whether he should or shouldn't go to jail, I don't know. But what I think is most important is that his reputation be tarnished, that it be in keeping with what he did. So I live in Chevy Chase, Maryland, a very blue, liberal suburb of Washington, D.C. Many of my neighbors had "Thank you, Dr. Fauci" signs on their lawn all during COVID. I think most of them, even after yesterday, think of Anthony Fauci as a hero.
Okay.
I think he should actually, at least reputationally, bear the cost of what he did. I mean, American people have to understand. And it's not Dr. Fauci alone. I mean, it's this whole network of government scientists, experts telling us what to do.
So, again, I'm running out of time. I want to get you back. Well, one other question. Couldn't we learn from this by having an accountability board above him?
But the thing is, I mean, this is a very important point that you raise. There were accountability people above him. In my documentary, Robert Redfield, who is the head of the CDC, tells a story that in an opening meeting of the coronavirus task force, the president spoke, the head of HHS spoke, he spoke, and finally Dr. Fauci spoke. Dr. Fauci said, I'm the expert here to the media. If you have any questions, come to me.
Okay.
Robert Redfield says, what do you mean, Tony? I'm the head of the CDC. You run a lab at NIH. There are dozens of labs. But he's assumed that power. But there were plenty of people above him. The head of the NIH, the head of HHS, the president of the United States. The trick here, I mean, the important point here is that unelected bureaucrats seize power that they're really not entitled to.
Can I get you back? Oh, we ran out of time.
Absolutely.
Okay,
anytime.
let me say to our viewers a couple of places. Manifold Production. What's the other one? What's the other one?
PalladiumPictures.com.
Oh, there it is. PalladiumPictures.com. You can check that out. Michael Pack, thank you for your time. You're fascinating. I'd like to dig down deeper on this. We will schedule you back. Thank you for giving us a few moments today.
Absolutely. Lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you